Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome back to the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. We are back for yet another round, what I'm sure will be an intense battle on the road to the title. Of course, we've got many protagonists that are going to be looking to take that spot at the end of the season, but we've still got a fair ways to go. George Morgan back in the commentary box and back alongside me as well. I mean, he's taking a bit of a break, but it's always great to see the great Tom Wilkinson back. Tom, how are you, sir?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm blushing after that. Looking forward to this. We've got a nice little switch up of the format. First sprint race we've had in a little while. And the wild card, I have to say, is an absolute banger. I'm looking forward to seeing how this dynamic plays out.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, powered by EA Sports F1 and, of course, our good partners at IMB Raceware. Be sure to check them out as well. We have got the Chinese Grand Prix here tonight, everybody. And as Tom did mention, we've got a sprint race to kick things off. And then after that, a short qualifying session to tee up what will be an astounding race. And obviously, looking ahead to this before the short quali, the sprint race itself, a reverse championship order grid, which should add some spice there, Tom.
Indeed. We've had a few of them before, notably back on F1 23, where the format was we had a reverse championship sprint race before we went into qualifying and the main race. So it is a familiar format. We just haven't seen it for quite a while. The likes of Tim at Marduk, Formula Cream, GB68, those guys that will be starting towards the very back, very, very adept at making their way through the field. They've had a lot of experience doing it in the past. It'll be interesting to see how they manage it when some of the newer faces we've got towards the front are going to be battling very, very hard, but I think they should come through unscathed. We'd like to think at least as well.
Yeah, and obviously it's great to see you and everybody tuned in across the globe, wherever you are in the world. We're live on 3 platforms tonight, that of course being Twitch, YouTube, and of course TikTok for the first time ever. And I think it's only right we bring this man in. How about you, TK? Welcome to the broadcast once more. Always a pleasure to be in the presence of the one, the only Tom Knight. What are you expecting from this showcase we have this evening? Because I'm sure there's going to be lots of drama.
I think tonight's going to be a tale of two halves. You've got the sprint race where there's going to be so much action, carnage, chaos. You know, you're going to have drivers really wanting to get those extra points. The grid's maybe a little bit shuffled as well, of course, going off reverse championship order, the likes of Tom starting considerably higher than some of the other championship protagonists. And then we head to the main race. That wild card that's coming into play is going to be a completely different kettle of fish. It goes to strategy, it goes to how well can they maintain their car in this environment.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. Obviously, the minimum fuel is going to be something that the drivers will all have to manage, but it's going to be extraordinary. Any minute now, we are going to be heading across to the starting grid ahead of this sprint race. Take us through it, Tom.
Well, on the very back row, we're going to have one very familiar face and one slightly new face. Tim and Marduk from 19th and SS Blue Fox making their debut in the Creator Series, starting from position 20 out of 20. Just ahead of them, 2 more familiar faces, both gunning for the championship. GB68 coming of age. Formula Kareem was very competitive here last season. Didn't quite get the result he was after. This is arguably his best track, though. Alex Gillen returns, P15. Meraki alongside him, season 4 champion. Both have decent records around this circuit. Alex Gillen winning here back in season number 1. Razin Chai, difficult few weeks, hasn't really managed to capitalise on a solid little start. Lolanoba coming into form very, very nicely, picking up a first win of the Creator Series a few weeks ago as well. Ricky 03 consistent as ever, and Formula Kai has probably been the star of the last few weeks. Some exceptional performances, missing out on a victory a couple of weeks ago in Silverstone into the top 10. The coolest man in the Creator Series, the Season 1 champion, Safso just inside, alongside Infratic, who's had a decent couple of races in the last few weeks. And then it is the second McLaren of Nick Flies up in 8th place. And Tom, probably the favourite going into this, starting very far forward, former champion in that beautiful brand new sim rig that he has got set up. Scott Taylor qualified 6th here last time out in season number 8, starting from 6th in this sprint race. F1 Alex hasn't quite had the season he would have liked. Big opportunity for some good points in that kick. Sauber. And then we come into the reservists. First of all, it is Cutter Lucas and then Blackmere, 2 Mercedes engine counterparts, starting from 4th and 3rd. And on the front row, this is going to be a generational lineup. It is Mr. Dale, the legend of the Creator Series, and Matty D13 returning, driving for Williams on this occasion.
That's brilliant. Thank you ever so much there, Tom. Obviously, a very feisty grid indeed. Great to see Matty D13 back, and this time on the front row. And welcome was also to SS Blue Fox for joining us well and truly out of the blue after we said goodbye to Noiguera very late in the day. Obviously, we've got a few changes to look at across this evening. Blackmere stepping in for Dat Guy Vince, so changes at Aston Martin here tonight. Obviously, we alluded to Matty D stepping in for Hayden Gullis as well. Adam Sanderson out, Cutter Lucas coming in. That's going to be interested to see how he works with Tiamat Marduk, of course, championship leader as well. Plenty of, things to look at. Of course, Noiguera missing tonight is quite key because he was a pole sitter here, only going back as far as season 6, the year that Tiamat Marduk actually went on to win the title. And of course, GB68 a pole sitter last time out. Of course, we've got the lights now going green ahead of the formation lap. But yeah, we could see once again the trend continue of new race winners around this track, Tom. It seems like it's going to be one of those circuits.
100%. Big opportunity for somebody. Only one previous winner currently on the circuit, and that is Alex Gillen starting down in 15th. A couple of disqualifications straight away. GB and Tim at Monaco, I don't actually think got off the grid. One of them entering the rear diffuse of the other, probably Mercedes into the Aston Martin. We've lost Matt D13 starting from pole. We've also lost F1 Alex. Tom Beaner thinking that he should have been 4th. He's a little bit upset about that, but we maybe have to just bring him back to the pack a little bit courtesy of that pace. You can see there the tyre graphic as well. Everybody on the yellow striped medium compound.
Yeah, no surprise. Obviously, a very, very short race that we're going to be undertaking prior to then going into quali. But these sprint races could mean everything in terms of points. Last time we had a sprint race around this circuit, it was back in season 6 as well. And the winner was Unstopped Rob. Of course, not featuring on this grid today, so we will get a new sprint race winner. Let us know in the live chat who you think's going to take it. Obviously, Matty D13 has form. One of the big players in terms of sprint race victories in the past. Historically, has 2 against his name, much like Mr. Dale on the front row. So you've got 2 very decent drivers in the sprint race affair. So we'll see how they get on. Maybe they can take it from lights to flag, and that's exactly what they're going to need to do in order to be in with a chance of winning this one. But there's plenty of other names. Obviously, Tom being one of those favourites, as you so rightly said, Tom. Obviously, coming into that new rig, has had to take some time, obviously, just to adapt to it. But I must say, on his return, his performance wasn't too bad at all.
Well, I would go as far as to say it was exceptional, considering he's been out of the game for quite a while. To come in there, be fighting it right with the big boys, had a lovely little battle with Tim at Marduk, I think it was. He's done very, very well. I would also look out for Scott Taylor, has a decent record on this track. Featured back in season 8 the last time we raced here, qualified in P6, didn't have a great race but was caught out a little bit by the weather. Big opportunity because it hasn't been a great couple of weeks for Scott in the Creator Series.
Yeah, for those of you in the chat wondering what the wild card is for, it's only for the main race. It's not going to be utilised in the sprint, and neither will it be used in qualifying, of course. It's all about the main feature race as the drivers now line up onto the grid. Matty D13 on the left, you got Dale on the right, and we're currently sat on board with Blackmere as the lights go red, they go out, and it's pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 go. Great start for Mr. Dale. He got the jump on Matty D13 straight away, heading in towards turn 1, and it's Dale who now leads the way. Cutter Lucas up the inside, or shall I say, yes, up the inside indeed, moves into second, and Matty D has plummeted. He's fallen behind Nick Flies at the Papaya McLaren, and round his outside Scott Taylor. The Scot is on the move, but he's onto the grass. My goodness, ran out wide. Matty having a very difficult start to this race. Ricky 03 right up in the mix as well. Infratic trying to gain some places. Racing Chai now enters the top 10, but it's Mr. Dale out in front, and Cutter Lucas now losing out to Nick Flies with a lovely move up the inside as they make their way out of turn 7.
Beautiful move, have to be said, but just coming back, it is now Tom trying to pick up a place, get up onto the podium. Excellent start for the former champion. Cutter Lucas leaking a couple of spots there as the Aston Martin of Blackmore says, I want a piece of the action. I tell you what, we're going to be 3 wide down to the braking zone of turn number 11. Infratic, ever the maverick of the Creator Series. Blackmore backing out. Is Cutter Lucas for the time being holding on? As I say that, enormous slide coming out of 13. It was certainly unlucky for him, and Infratic is going to cruise straight around the outside.
Yeah, very nice early start from Nick Flies. Mr. Dale trying to consolidate this lead place. Remember, starting on the front row, but Flies is going to demote him. He's going to drop, or at least try to drop Mr. Dale like a fly, heading down in towards turn 16 as they now fly down towards this long straight. Well, they're coming out of turn 14, 15 and 16 is still to come. Yellow flag around the hairpin as Flies takes the lead. Has only registered so far this season 5 top 10s, has not been featured at all in any sprint race victories. Today could be his first, and now 2 tenths ahead. Is dropping down to a 10th now as Dale looks to fight back. Zaps around the outside now as he looks to try and beat past Cutter Lucas, who is now down into 7th place, and Fabio is next on PS1 Hagrid's list.
Well, we've got to talk about Razin Chai, up into 4th place after starting down in 14th. Incredible first lap for the Season 5 champion, and Tom will be sweating a little bit as he pushes Nick Flies down into 3rd place. That for Pi McLaren saw a potential opportunity to pick up a headline result, but losing out to Dale and losing out to Tom in the last couple of corners. Watch out in the battle for 8th and 9th as well. Former sparring partners Alex Gillen and Tim McMurdoch line astern.
You're absolutely right about Razin Chai, up 10 places. Remember, starting 14th on the grid, and he's already risen up, and he's not alone. Many others also making moves. Zafso started 10th, he's now up into P6. And we've got Tiamat Marduk, who started in 19th spot. He is now up to 9th in this top 10 as well. Plenty of other moves happening around this track. We got Lolinoba also doing battle with Blackmere, and he's managed to peek into P12. And we've got 2 drivers right at the front as Tom challenges for the lead as he looks to try and break down Mr. Dale. Nick Fly is also staying within the aero. We'll also have the use of DRS as they fly down towards the hairpin. Tom takes the lead for now, but I tell you what, there's a queue of cars in behind that are looking to take him down a peg or two. But the new simulator working for Tom Biener as he now leads the way here in the sprinters. They're about to bring an end to lap 2, heading in towards lap 3. DRS will be available. Nick Flies will have a chance to respond.
Well, Tommy hasn't been in this position for quite some time, but if there is one thing that a great driver doesn't forget, it is how to win a Grand Prix. Nick Flies, does he think about a move up the inside? Tom does go slightly defensive. I think Nick Flies was probably quite happy just to sit in behind the Alpine. Currently sat in a sandwich between the Renault-powered cars. Swinging it around the outside is Razin Chai, going from the outside to the inside, smelling an opportunity to make it an Endstone 1-2. Doesn't quite have the traction on the exit, but with that inside line, it's going to continue to stay neck and neck. Alpine versus Papaya McLaren. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? Down into turn number 6. And McLaren in the sprint race this morning came a crop here. Lando Norris running slightly wide, leaking loads of places. The Papaya McLaren of Nick Flies doing the same, but only 1 to the Alpine.
Yeah, Razin Chai now up into 2nd. A big smile, I'm sure, will be on the face of Flavio Briatore if they saw this in real life, heading around this Chinese circuit. Right on board with championship leader Tiamat Marduk, whose only interest really is to ensure that he finishes at this point ahead of Formula Karim. Of course, Karim has been on mighty form so far this season, has won the last 2 races back at Britain and Austria sequentially, and even prior to that, winning at Texas in the very first round of the championship. Or should I say, taking pole in the first round of the championship. He didn't win at Britain, though. Tiamat Marduk did take that one. I'm talking about pole positions here at this case. But in terms of previous race wins, Karim, last time out, a race winner at Austria, though Tiamat Marduk did beat him to the punch back at Britain 2 rounds ago. As we now watch them sprint down through towards the hairpin, in towards turn 14, and now late on the brakes. Tiamat Marduk, yellow flag again. Oh, big spin. And is that Mr. Dale? I think it might be. Dropping down Meraki also. It looks like Dale's dropped down to 19th as well. So colossal for the Red Bull team. Meraki into 10th. Dale now down in 19th place, and movements right at the front as well as Tom looks to defend that race lead with Razin Chai in 2nd. Nick Flies, credit to him, still very much in the fight, and Infratic also in this as we now watch Formula Karim dice it out with Meraki coming out of turn 1 through towards turn 2. Inside line will favour Karim coming in towards turn 3. Smoke coming off the tyres now as they squeeze the throttle, feather that throttle, and Karim in the McLaren now moves into P10 just behind Formula Kai as they now stretch down towards turn 4. Late on the brakes, once more Formula Karim takes down Formula Kai. What a first sector for the McLaren.
Well, it was a little bit of a slow start to the sprint for Karim, but now making his opportunities come to fruition. He's up into 9th place, and very shortly I think he's going to be getting past Lolinoba, who is detached from that group in front. Alex Gillen was definitely involved in that little skirmish with Mr. Dale going down into turn 14. He was trying to get past the Red Bull, and I do wonder if there was a little bit of contact. Tim Marduk saying thank you very much, snapping up a free position for his troubles as well. Meraki just falling out of the top 10. Scott Taylor picking up the first penalty of this race, although I think he picked up some front wing damage early on and finds himself 53 seconds off the back of the snake.
Yeah, Formula Karim looking to capitalise now at this very moment. Might get another chance here to gain another place. He's going to be met with Lolinoba. These two had fireworks back at Miami not too long ago. They battled each other across the line, and Karim clears him even before the hairpin. And now up into 8th place. He's got 1.9 seconds to find now in order to close up to the back of Alex Gillen, who's also quietly crept his way further into this top 10. Just to clarify some comments I made earlier on about previous race results. Obviously, Karim did win last time out at Australia. It was Tiamat Marduk who won at Britain, despite Formula Karim taking pole on that occasion. Tiamat Marduk also winning at Texas in the opening round after Karim achieved pole for that race too. Up the inside again, Karim. This time on Lolinoba. Lolinoba trying to take the place back that he lost not too long ago. Zafso now under pressure. He's got Tiamat Marduk on his tail as Tiamat Marduk sweeps around the outside. Very late on the brakes. Very nearly got collected by Infratic. That was a scary moment. Zafso had a clearer run coming out of this and now has the advantage. Outside line here for Zapso. But obviously this line will favour Benjamin Daly as they head through in towards the next right. This favours Zapso, but now the heavy braking zone comes up, heading down in towards turn 10. Wheel to wheel between the RB and the Mercedes, and it's Tim Marduk who puts a nose cone and a whole car back in front, and Zapso can't reply as they now head down into the next left, and Benjamin Daly has wing damage.
Oh, not good news at all, as I think F1 Alex goes for a little bit of a spin in the middle sector as well. Ben with that wing damage, we saw it didn't really compromise him back in Kota round number 1. He's battled past one of his former teammates. He's now going to do the same to Infratic in the Scarlet Red Ferrari car. Tom has done an excellent job to hold on to the lead since he took it at the end of lap number 1. Is he going to stay down into the braking zone of 14? Tim Marduk moving to the middle of the circuit, potentially thought about a sniff of getting 4th place away from Infratic, but holding firm in that 5th spot for the time being. He's got Alex Gillen to deal with, though, directly behind him. Have to commend Nick Flies as well in that Papaya McLaren. We're used to seeing Formula Kareem putting in some barnstorming results, but it is the second driver still holding on to that 3rd position. I think he's going to be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, I must say it's getting really close up at the top end. Now you've got pretty much the top 7 that are all in this fight over the sprint lead, and Tom is taking them round right now. It's an Endstone double act, though, up at the very top with Tom and Rastin Chai holding all the cards. Nick Flies having the race of his life, though, in 3rd place. Could be some huge points going his way should he take this to the flag. But he has got Fabio there further up, who's going to try and muscle in past the Woking car, and it looks like the team from Maranello are going to celebrate the Scarlet Red Ferrari belonging to Infratic up into 3rd, and Tim Marduk following him through as well. And what a moment this is, because you got the trio from the final round in Season 6 that led to Tim Marduk winning the title. Remember, Fabio was his teammate that season. Who stood in for Fabio? It was Nick Flies, and he, of course, led to the safety car right at the end of the race, which actually ended up leading Tim Marduk to victory towards chasing that Season 6 title. What a moment here on lap 6. Fabio into 3rd, but Benjamin Daly smelling an opportunity, even despite the wing damage. This has been a tenacious rise, and Alex Gillen also coming into this. We've got a yellow flag and a retirement, our first of this sprint. F1 Alex is out.
Oh, and Nick Flies under pressure again. He hasn't troubled a lot of apexes since Infratic and Tim Marduk filed past the Papaya McLaren. Holding firm for the time being, Alex Gillen is not going to risk it around the outside of the final corner. I would say that would be an unwise decision, it has to be said, and filling those spots just outside of the top 4, the 2 McLarens and the 2 RB cars. There's everybody darting this way, and that Razin tried to take the lead away from Tom, but he was unsuccessful in his attempts to do so. Alex Gillen now slightly missing the apex. He has managed to get ahead of Nick Flies, but there was a small chance that Nick Flies could just try and get back up the inside as Dale started on the front row, becomes the 2nd retiree in this race, and we are down to 18 runners with 4 to go.
Yeah, obviously Dale had some very early issues that caused him to drop from the very front right to the rear. Has been a tricky race for Red Bull, because Meraki sits in 11th, just outside of the top 10, and still hunting down after Formula Kai. And Kai has got a 2.5-second gap between himself and Olinoba as well. This fight right at the front is basically encompassing the top 9 in this classification, so it could still very much go anywhere, and we have just around 3 laps or so to go before we reach the checkered flag. And on the track map just at the bottom, you can see Scott Taylor still making his way around the track, but he's got a 3-second time penalty against his name and is around 48 to 49 seconds detached away from the back of Cutter Lucas in 17th, as we now watch as Rasin Chai pirouettes coming around turn 13. Now the long straight to come, rear wing will open now very shortly. The 2 Endstones should swap as they now stretch down through towards turn 14. Rasin Chai takes the lead over further back. Infratic as well, chasing a huge result here in this sprint, but Tim Marduk is going to try and silence him on the escape of coming out of turn 14. We got wheel to wheel between Formula Karim and Sapso as they now look to round turn 16 to begin lap 8 of 10. And as they make their way up towards turn 1, it is still Rasin Chai. Back comes Tom. Tim Marduk looking to break the trend of Endstone cars right at the front, and Alex Gillen around the outside of Fabio as well as they come in towards turn 1, and it looks like Fabio just about can hold on, but Alex Gillen is going to look to try and chop down the inside coming out of turn 3 in an effort to try and put the Italian team down, but Fabio defiant. Stellar defence from the Portuguese, and he retains P4.
Gillen desperate to try and shuffle the pack out in front. It's the Alpine dominance at the moment. It could pour fans if it stays this way. Rasin Chai bided his time. He was very happy just to sit behind Tom for the opening 7 laps of this race, but finally electing to take the lead with 3 to go. Maybe that's tactical, wanting to be in 2nd place coming on to the last lap of the race. He'll let Tom fly straight back past him. But I think Tim McMulloch will probably have something to say about that. I just had a look at his front wing coming round the final corner. No real cosmetic damage, so it must be just that very slight lime green colour that we get a tiny bit of damage. Doesn't affect you too much, but you can continue on your merry way. Fratic losing a little bit of time, half a second now, the gap between himself and his former Ferrari teammate Alex Gillen, all over the back of him coming out of 13.
Yeah, definitely nothing wrong with Benjamin Daly's pace. He's got the fastest lap so far of this race, and not only that, he's faster than both Ratson Chai and Tom right in front of him. As the two Enstone cars swap once more, it's Tom who now retakes the race lead, and now we venture around the final corners. We've got the penultimate lap of this sprint coming right up. And Tim McMulloch being afforded the opportunity to conserve whatever wear he can on his tyres. Running wide, Fabio, as now he opens up the rear wing again, and I'm sure that will open up doors here for Alex Gillen to make the move into turn one. Ratson Chai takes that sprint lead as he now creep down through towards turn two, in an opening here for Tim McMulloch, who tries to squeeze down the inside coming out of turn two, and Alex Gillen up the inside of Infratic further back as well, battling over that fourth place, and Gillen in the RB. The Faenza team move up into fourth and stretch past their Italian and Maranello counterparts. It is Alex Gillen up into fourth, and Karim now looking to enter this big bold top five fight.
Oh, Karim very slyly made his way through in the last couple of laps. We haven't really spoken about it, but as he swoops around the outside of Infratic to complete the move with a lap and a half to go, he is inside the top five, and do not discount Formula Karim from ending up on the podium in about 2 minutes' time. It's still Ratson Chai leading the way, half a second the gap between himself and his Alpine teammate, Tim McMulloch. You just saw there was only a gap for a Mercedes F1 car at the inside of Tom into turn number one, and Tim McMulloch, as he always does, thinking, I can definitely get my car in that gap. Tried it, couldn't quite make it work, but laying his cards firmly on the table is the Australian ace.
Yep, twice a race winner this season. Took his first victory back in Texas in the very first round after silencing a pole sitter in Formula Karim. He then went and took victory back at Britain not too long ago, as now we see three wide almost. We've got Tom in front by a nose, but here comes Benjamin Daly. Contact there around turn 14, but Benjamin Daly takes the sprint race lead now, and it's all been turned upside down because Alex Gillen, he was there and he took second. So now we meet the two rivals once more, battling over higher end supremacy. This is the final lap. It could all twist and turn from here, and through goes Formula Karim, who looks to move in a second as they come in towards turn three. Gillen trying to defend relentlessly, but the Papaya McLaren will have the momentum on the run down towards turn four. Benjamin Daly might have it for now, but here comes Alex Gillen around the outside now, coming through towards the 90-degree right. They'll run wheel to wheel on the escape, but Ben still somehow retains that race lead, but it can all be turned over coming around turn 7.
Oh, throw a blanket over this top three, pushing each other through the sweeps of the middle sector. Tom is right in there as well. Tim McMulloch playing some DRS games. Definitely there. There's the Alpine back up the inside of Formula Karim. Ratson Chai maybe trying to follow suit as well, not quite close enough. And Tim McMulloch, I think, has played an absolute blinder here, dropping back behind Alex Gillen, jinking all over the place behind. Tom launches it up the inside of his former championship rival. Karim getting muscled out by a couple of them. Contact at the back. What a disastrous 90 seconds or so for Ratson Chai. Was leading the race, now finds himself down in 8th. Contact between himself and Nick Flies.
A possible welcome return for Tom as well. They've caught up with Scott Taylor further back, who is still nursing that 3-second time penalty. Here comes Tom now, looking to retake the lead to at least give Enstone something. And Tim McMulloch looking to follow in through to once again battling it out with arch rival Alex Gillen. Also Formula Karim coming into this as well. But Tom, on his return to the Creator Series, a sprint race win looks surely on the cards. The Alpine succeeds and wins here at China. Tim McMulloch finishes second, Alex Gillen in third, fellow title rival Formula Karim in fourth, and Lolinoba finishing in fifth. Blackmere just coming around the final corners as well. He'll come 15th, with Blue Fox on his debut coming into the Creator Series, meeting the sprint for the very first time, coming across the line in 16th. And Cutter Lucas, after his early issues, he'll finish in 17th ahead of Scott Taylor. But my goodness me, what a barnstormer, Tom.
What a finish. Top gun from Tom Biener there. We thought the Alpines had messed it up. Tim McMulloch took both of them on and came out trumps there, but Tom didn't lose his head, saw a very opportunistic opportunity to get up the inside of Tim McMulloch into 11, and that really put the reigning champion and championship leader off, meant he wasn't in the position he wanted to be coming down that main straight. And it all comes up Dutch in China. Tom taking the first win of the day. Alex Gillen was in the wrong place at the wrong time, just dropping down to third. Formula Cream was very lucky actually that he finished fourth, because I don't know if you spotted it, but went way wide going through the final corner. If Lola Noble was a little bit closer, that could have been fifth rather than fourth.
It certainly could have been. It was very, very tight, very messy. It all caught up heading in towards turn 11. But it's Tom who takes victory, and that's his first ever sprint race win in the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. And what a victory it is too. A welcome return here to the championship. Scott Taylor takes us round the final portion of the circuit, cross the line now, and finishes 18th on this classification. Of course, we've had two retirements already. We lost Mr. Dale, of course. F1 Alex was retired as well very early on in the race too. But a wonderful result going Tom's way, and it looks strong for Alpine. Let's take you through the results. Tom was your sprint race winner. Tim Marlock finishing in second place. Alex Gillen in third. Formula Karim in fourth. Lolinoba in fifth. Infratic in sixth. Rasin Chai finishing in seventh. Nick Flies in eighth place. We've got Zaf Sodan in ninth. Formula Kai in 10th place. Meraki in 11th. GB in 12th place. Ricky 03 in 13th. Matty D13 in 14th. Blackmere in 15th, Blue Fox in 16th, Live Catalucas down in 17th, Scott Taylor 18th, and we lost Mr. Dale and F1 Alex. And in the meantime, we can head across to TK, who I'm sure has something to digest for us.
Well, something. Talk about a fair few things. What a race, what a sprint race that was for a lot of our drivers. First of all, we're going to throw it back to the race start. If you can remember that far back, starting off, as I pressed the wrong key there, with F1 Alex, he got a little bit bogged down off that race start, immediately found himself about 2 or 3 wide in towards the first corner, and I think he had to back himself out in risk of getting caught up amongst drivers just in front of him. Matty D as well, suffering a very similar fate. Of course, starting from pole position, he tried to pull away, and again, just the car bogging down. It was Dale with a fantastic launch into the first corner, led from that point. But the thing I want to try and break down here, Dale goes wide. Matty just finds himself caught up in amongst the 2 or 3 drivers here. A little bit of a tap with Nick Flies. He's got Scott Taylor and Tom as well just behind him. And watch the exit out of this corner. Find himself with a tap off towards the grass and gravel. He does go. F1 Scott next to go through. Of course, starting just behind our pole sitters. He got himself some early on wing damage. I think Matty D could have been involved in that as well. You see all the carnage heading through the first and second corners, and the car unfortunately just jumps around a little bit too much. Front wing damage ensues for F1 Scott, and that's why he dropped so far back off the pace. See him just dropping off there onto the grass and the gravel, and I think it's just a couple of moments later that he does get that wing damage into the next braking zone. You'll see it here, late on the brakes. Cars come together, and that's a fair bit of wing damage for Scott. Next up, we got Ben with the wing damage. It was only minor, a little bit of a tap with Infratic. You see him go wide in towards the corner. He then slams on the brakes trying to get the car stopped and just pops up. Nothing too major. He won't be too concerned about that. F1 Alex, penultimately going up. It was a bit of a weird DNF here. Unfortunately, just finding himself in the barrier there. I think just losing control of the car. And you can see head in the hands moment. Maybe after too much racing for himself today. Dale, very similar fate as well. Final corner for himself. Gets the car unsettled. Happens so often here at China. Rear end just steps out. And there we go. That is the car off and, well, missing a wheel as well, unfortunately. He doesn't look too pleased. And then finally, who could talk about this race without talking about the win for Tom Bina? Nice, easy overtake in towards the braking zone. DRS tried and was tested. Alex Gillen thought about a move. You see temporary red arrows just at the bottom right-hand side. But alas, couldn't quite challenge Tom. Had the grip out the penultimate corner and went on to win the race.
Spectacular, Tom. Thank you so... Oh, should I say TK? I call you Tom. I just call you TK. Thank you so much for TK for that. Much appreciated. I mean, obviously, fantastic result for Tom on his return. And we'll speak to another Tom now, Tom Wilkinson. Obviously, after Tom's truly phenomenal race victory, should I say sprint race victory, I mean, that is a welcome way to return. He's been away for a while, came back for that one-off appearance around Miami, and of course in between had some things to do, obviously some work had to be carried out on his premises. He's actually put reaction lights into his sim room now as well. Do you think all this is playing a part, Tom, in a sense that he's able to extract a little bit more out of the car?
I think so, and I think it's motivated him as well. Did you see his reaction as he came over the line, pumping the air? He absolutely loved it. I think we had a counter. Obviously, it's not an official win; it's only a sprint win, but we definitely have had a counter of how many days it's been since Tom last won in the Creator Series. I think it is over 500 potentially. It's been quite a long time. So to get back onto the top step, I think he'll be delighted. His racecraft, I think, barring that little skirmish between himself, his teammate Razin, and Ben on the penultimate lap, I think it was 100% on, absolutely perfect from himself. Obviously managed to get the win on the last lap, so probably explains that, and that will give him a lot of confidence, and probably us a lot of confidence that he could be right at the sharp end in this race.
He definitely could. And also, Tiamat Malik, big result for him as well, finishing in second. It could have been a win, but what he's done in this instance, he's pushed the points gap now out to 16 in between himself and Formula Karim as well, which is all the more vital. He said before we got into racing action that all he wanted to do was beat Karim, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, very smart racer, Ben. We know he's a very smart racer. He thinks a lot about the championship. He knows he's got a decent cushion over the group behind. He also is very aware that this is a very strong track for Formula Cream. So target acquired and did a very, very good job. Could have won the race, but I don't think that'll dampen his spirits at all.
And obviously looking back, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we've got Tom waiting to come in for an interview. Just the man we wanted to speak to. Tom, welcome back to the Creator Series again. You had a little break after your last appearance, but back in the rig once more. The motion rig seems to be working for you because that's a first ever sprint race victory in the Creator Series.
We are so back, George. So back.
He's back, everyone. Tom is back.
Come
and in
on
great
now.
style. What a result. I mean, I have to say, I thought both you and Razin played it perfectly right to the start. It was a well-managed race, but obviously it was inevitable to see various other drivers eventually come in and join the fight. But, you know, it took some beating to keep the likes of Benjamin Daly, and not only that, Formula Karim coming in. They are our current championship leaders after all. So you must be filled with confidence after that.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say I'm like confident right now. You know me, George. I'm always a confident man.
I know you, Tom.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm more confident after that. I was a bit slow, not gonna lie. I've got most of that to thank to my teammate Raisin, because if it wasn't for him, I think we played it very, very smart. He was behind of me. At some point, we started swapping to kind of try and drive away, but I wasn't quick enough to kind of actually do that. But he was kind of, backing them up. He was kind of like, like the Virgil van Dijk to my goalkeeper career right there.
Well, I mean, if you've got a Virgil van Dijk in your team, then obviously you're going to be in with every chance, I think, of holding on to a major result. But, I mean, we witnessed also, you've been putting in so much work behind the scenes in developing this new sim room of yours. I've witnessed, obviously, on social media, these new reaction lights you have installed. Have they worked? Do you think they've made a difference?
You bet they work. Look at my star, bro. I got away, shabam, shaboom, overtake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. Actually, 7 people. And there we go. P1 after that, right? The reactions were, I got a bit tired. So,
you had to take a nap halfway through.
Exactly. Maybe I need to do a little bit more of the reaction lights, like endurance-wise. Not just like 5 seconds, but boom, go like full 2 minutes or something. But I guess I'll work on that for the next one.
Well, we look forward to seeing you revolutionising the world of the F1 Creator Series, obviously. Hey, Tom, do you have a question for Tom as well?
I mean,
Tom, wait,
everything was...
I have a question for you.
Okay, we'll go with that.
How majestic was that race win, my guy?
It was beautiful. I actually said it before you came in. I thought the racecraft was 100% perfect. I only want to draw on the... It's not even a negative because you still won the race, but that little bit of contact between yourself and Ben on the penultimate lap, just from your point of view, what happened?
Ben shunted me.
Simple, straight to the point. I love it.
Listen, tomorrow, 2-player career co-op. It's going to be fire. It's going to be fire. It's going to be explosions.
Well, but you don't want to miss it, folks. You want to tune into something like that, I tell you. I want to ask you, Tom, about the wild card we got for tonight. How are you feeling ahead of this wild card?
No, not great. You know what? I'm giving it to Ben because Ben always runs out of fuel, or at least he always goes like minimum fuel anyway. I think Ben is going to win this race. I'm tipping him to win this race. That's my prediction.
Does the motion rig drink it? Does the motion rig drink it? Does it?
Well, I have a bottle now of water in my cockpit, but it's starting to fall off with all the vibrations. So I don't think...
Hey, whoa! You're not going to have a Lewis Hamilton Ferrari engineer moment by any chance.
We're going to add that to the dictionary. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Hey, Tom, congratulations. What a result, my friend. Sprint race victor for the first time in your history in the Creator Series. We wish you all the very best in quali.
Thank you. Let's see.
We'll wait and see. Thank you very much, Tom, everyone. I mean, obviously, ever the more jovial Tom, isn't he, Tom? Incredible human being. And obviously, coming off the back of that sprint race victor, 8 points in his back pocket. And obviously, that's going to go a huge way into his championship.
100%. Helps Alpine out a little bit as well, with Razin having a few dodgy weeks, not all down to his own doing. But I think the biggest problem with Tom is for people like us, we're going to get sore cheeks every time we talk to him because we've got such broad smiles every time he opens his mouth.
He's such a character, I must say, and obviously a big part of the Alpine group as well. Obviously, we've got drivers. We can have a look at very quickly at the drivers' championship standings as well, based off the back of that sprint race. Tim Marduk on 185 points. We alluded to the fact that the points gap had enlarged off the back of his second place, ahead of Formula Karim as well, who's on 169 now in second place. A poor sprint for GB68, just could not quite get anything going. He still remains, though, 4 points ahead of Meraki, but keenly enough, it's obviously what's going on in front of him. I think that he'll be a little bit more concerned about. Alex Gillen now level on points with Meraki, entering the fight now in the top 5. Rasin Chai down in 6, level on points with Lolin Ober on 117. We've got Noiguera level with that guy Vince on 67. Ricky 03 in 10th. Formula Kai on 55. Zapso in 12th on 47. 4 points apart from Infratic down in 13th. Nick Flies in 14th on 34. 1 point ahead of Adam Sanderson, who is not here tonight. And Matati in 16th. Hayden Gullis in 17th. Tom down in 18th. Those sprint race points drifting him higher and higher ahead of Scott Taylor, who's down in 19th on 20 points. And Grid Jokes still sits in 20th in the championship. Obviously, we can look ahead as well to the team standings of all things as well. And obviously, once again, a big fight at the very top, as you can see. Mercedes still in control. Like I said, though, Adam Sanderson not here this evening, so it's all down to Tim Marduk to hustle in the points. Aston Martin, they are one driver short as well. That guy Vince not taking part tonight. They are currently in second. There is still, though, a very close gap between the front two. McLaren still there. They're in third place on 204. Visa Cash App RB on 197. Alpine in fifth. Now that they have Tom and Rasin Chai at their disposal, they could be a major threat tonight. Red Bull in sixth as well on 158. Haas down in seventh on 137. Ferrari in eighth on 126. Williams on 93 in ninth. And Sauber in 10th place on 64. It's all to play for, Tom.
I think the best thing is, Drivers' Championship, we've still realistically got 5 drivers that could win it. Only 35 points between Tim Marduk and Alex Gillen. You know, if Ben has a bit of a shocker in the next couple of weeks and somebody like Gillen or Meraki wins the race, that's just slashed completely. And the constructors as well, 4 teams realistically in and around maybe Alpine if they can get their act together, if Tom stays around, if Razin tries to pick himself up and gets that form back that we saw in the early stages. Could be 5 constructors in it as well.
Yeah, and obviously looking at previous results here, we haven't yet had anyone go on to win twice around this circuit. We've only ever had one-time race winners around the circuit. We alluded obviously to Alex Gillen being the only driver on the grid. Really, there's one before. Obviously, prior winners include Elray Geary, Tom 97, M Sky Z, Alex Gillen winning it all the way back in season 1. We've come a long way since then, and naturally, we got other big players that we need to factor in that could yet take it away. So, I mean, what could this mean for the championship?
It's a huge opportunity for someone. Obviously, this is one of the rare tracks that Tim Marduk hasn't won at before. He has got a couple of podiums, though. Finished second to Alex Gillen in that very first race. Picked another one up in the preceding 8 seasons. Qualifying's not been the best for him. Hasn't started higher than 4th, but he has qualified there a couple of times. So there's a potential weakness, but he's done a very decent job in the sprint race. Got a decent haul of points. Pace looks strong as well, considering he had a little bit, albeit light, front wing damage. So I think all looking good for Ben. Formula Karim, we didn't necessarily see his outright pace, maybe just because he was quite calm, quite collected, battling his way through. But I'm expecting a Formula Cream pole similar to what we saw in Kota, a bit of a gap between himself and everybody else.
Yeah, obviously he'll be looking to come into this tonight. Be looking to try and answer back to Benjamin Daly off the back of the sprint race. And obviously we need to talk also about the social media impact we have had here at the Creator Series as well. And those of you that are tuned in, please make sure you check out the socials at F1 Creator Series on Twitter, Instagram, and also TikTok, where we are live here tonight. So ensure to stay up to date with everything Creator Series, and join us as well if you want to on YouTube or even Twitch, where you can also join all the live streams. Hit those follow buttons if you're on YouTube. Like and subscribe. That's what we want to see. We post reels non-stop as well, so make sure you support those. Check those out. Plenty of entertainment for you guys to witness with some of your favorite creators here in the F1 F1 Creator Series, and they'll all be looking to win now as we look ahead to qualifying. But looking ahead, obviously the times that we're looking at, around a 1:30.4, that was the last one that was set by GB back in Season 8 last season. Prior to that, Noiguera with a 1:30.189, and the fastest we've seen so far was MSkyZ's 1:30.062. So we're very much expecting the pole lap to be around that mark, Tom.
Yeah, we should see a bit of an improvement on last season because we had a little bit of weather getting involved. I don't think it was perfect conditions by the time we got to qualifying 3. Will we see somebody comfortably in the 29s? I'd like to think so, but anything up for debate. We might see a bit of weather. We don't know just yet.
No, not at all. And obviously plenty of other players that have come in recently this season. I want to talk about as well drivers that have not necessarily pulled their finger out, shall we say, in terms of going from lights to flag. Formula Karim, whilst of course historically he has been a vibrant talent on the Creator Series grid, he has got an incredible pole record this season. Obviously, we alluded to the fact that he did take pole at Texas for the very first round, but since then, he has done round 7, notched it on pole in Britain, did the same back at Australia as well. But there's been a couple of misses as well. We look at Tim at Marduk, Victor at Texas, and then, of course, he took it at Britain as well, whilst Karim was on pole. Do you think the main mishap that Karim has had, he hasn't been able to convert that immense pole strike rate into race win success?
It's almost like the Charles Leclerc record, isn't it? So many poles, amazing over one lap, and it just doesn't quite come together over a race distance. I think there are 2 factors, really. One of them, he's been very unlucky at times. Remember back to Kota with the safety car incident, had some other times where he hasn't had the rub of the green. But also, I think there is just that little bit of lacking in experience compared to, the old timers. I hate to use that word, but Alex Gill and Tim McMullen, they've been around since the very start. Razin Chai as well, very experienced in the Creator Series. So I think Karim is still learning just how to be really efficient in his overtakes, in his racecraft. He's very good at it already, but naturally, because he has only been around for probably a season now, because he came into the fray sort of halfway through Season 8, there is still a learning curve that he has to try and go on.
Yep, certainly is. Zafso now out on track. Of course, Season 1 champion, the OG champion here in the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. Carries a reasonable record as well, a total points collection of 831. Still a little bit shy from the 1,000 mark. There is PS1 Hagrid as we speak. Aviators on as he now takes a trip onto the grass. Might need to untint those just ever so slightly in order to get the visibility. Daddy Hagrid, as he is known here in the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. 2 wins prior in his Creator Series history. 10 podiums to his name. Not to mention that World Drivers' Championship and 2 Constructors' Championships as well. And you'd expect with a combination of him and, of course, Alex Gillen, that RB would be a major threat to the team cycle this season.
You'd think so, but Zafso hasn't had a great couple of weeks. This certainly hasn't been his best season by a long shot. The pace at times has been there, but there have been a few weekends where he's been just that little bit off what we would normally expect of the Season 1 champion. This is a fairly decent circuit for Zafso. Qualified 6th before, best finish of 7th, so an average sort of finishing position and qualifying for him. If he can replicate that, I think that'll go a long way to RB's championship charge.
It definitely could. Of course, Zafso coming into this round, he's currently 12th in the championship. Has got 47 points against his name, still fair ways off the top spot, currently being held by Tim at Marduk, especially after he came second in the sprint. As now we watch Zafso make his way around turn 1, and we'll keep our eyes peeled on the sector times as they roll in as well, folks. He makes his way out of turn 1 through turn 2 and now in towards turn 3. You need to manage your throttle application as best you can. Be careful not to get onto that curb on the right hand side, but you can take a little bit more of this one as he now stretches down through towards turn 4. A very dogged right-hander of sorts, a hairpin coming out of turn 6 and then down through towards turn 7. The in-swinger, of course, very fast pace. You can leave your foot relatively planted at this portion of track. Of course, they're getting allows for that as you now make your way in towards turn 8 as well, doubling back and then straight in towards another left-hander coming in towards turns 9 and then later turns 10. You've got then another semi-straight which will lead you through in towards sector 3. Let's take a look at the team radio from Tim at Marduk. We have to try and keep these inters cool. Now remember, folks, if you're new here at the EA Sports F1 Creator Series, a reminder that, of course, we do have the intermediate tyre poll to decide, which is why we're seeing the intermediate tyres banded onto the cars. And there is 1 point available if you do take Inter's poll. And, of course, that will be decided just prior to the end of, well, coming into the 12th minute of qualifying, with 12 minutes to go, I should say, as we now watch as Zafso breaks down into the hairpin, coming out of turn 14. First sector time was a 24.9. He's not purple in any of the sectors so far. He's had them taken away from the man in P15, one of them being Ricky03, the other being Infratic, down at the very bottom of your timing screen. Zafso sets a 1:34, and then Rasin Chai to the top goes purple in that final sector with a 1:33. 691, but it's purple currently so far for Ricky03 in the middle sector, and Fabio purple in the first sector so far here at the moment, Tom.
Yeah, we're seeing a bit of a spread, aren't we, as Infratic getting caught up there behind the Williams. Not sure which one it is, but on a decent lap so far, not on the intermediates though, so obviously trying to burn through all of his red stripes. Soft tyres, that is the worst place alongside turn 1 to invalidate your lap. Absolutely criminal from Fabio, just running slightly wide through the final corner, maybe just caught out a little bit by Ricky, who does set the fastest time on those red stripe softs. And yes, the driver in the Scarlet Red Ferrari car will be a little bit red-faced by that, I imagine.
I would imagine so too. Ricky03, a 1:31.611, not even bothering to go out on those inters. Fastest inters time still belongs to Rasin Chai. We're watching GB68 make his way around. He's on inters as well. 24.6 in the first sector, met with a 28.5 in sector 2. That is approximately 2/10 slower than Tibet Marduk, who currently sits third in the timing screen. Zafsu now relegated down to fourth. F1 Alex, fifth fastest. Here comes GB68 up towards the line. DRS open for him. He goes fourth fastest, 2.5 seconds off the top. Remember, all those on intermediate tyres. How are you guys so quick on intermediates, asked Tom. He can't believe it. He can't quite believe it. Sat in his simulator rig as we now watch Meraki head down towards turn 14.
And while that was going on, Formula Kareem, with about 40 seconds to go, has just stolen it away from Rasin Chai by 0.04 of a second. Very sneaky there from the Papaya McLaren car. Meraki used to be the king of the intermediate pole times. What is that Red Bull going to do? Slots into third, make that second on intermediates. The top three covered by 0.04 of a second on the intermediate tyres. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that is absolutely stunning there from Meraki. Popping himself into third place. We've already got more movement in the pit lane. Rasin Chai coming into the box to have a rethink. Nick Flies, who was very impressive in the sprint race last time out, back out again on track. He, of course, clinching one solitary point, which is hard to believe, especially considering what he was doing up at the very front, really hassling the front end with the two Alpines, but now has since dropped down ever so slightly. He is down in 17th at the moment in the classification on his flying lap, his first of the session, and getting a nice useful tow off the McLaren in front belonging to Formula Karim. So they have really planned this to the hilt, though they would have probably preferred to offer the tow down this very long straight where they could have utilised some of the slipstream and at the same time the DRS that opens up. Team radio from GB68. I was just trying to get... See, I'm not saying that. So we now watch them make their way down through towards turn 14. It is Nick Flies who is looking to extend once more. 24.1 is a decent first sector time, faster than Rasin Chai in that first sector, but bear in mind Chai is on intermediates and Flies is on soft. So 27.4 though in that middle sector, a second faster, goes fastest of anybody, gone faster than Ricky03, who set his time on soft tyres. Nick Flies going purple in that final sector. Zafso still remains in 9th place, and he's on fresh softs. Rasin on softs about to go out as well. And the Inters poll has been decided, of course. It's gone Formula Karim's way.
1 point going into the direction of Woking and McLaren, with Formula Cream just getting that ever bit closer, pulling back towards Tim at 15 points now. I think that gap is. Nick Flies, though, looking really hooked up. This is probably the most competitive we've seen from Nick Flies so far this season, I would go to say. Up in first at the moment, albeit only 2 times on the red stripe softs. I think he'll potentially be gunning for a top 10 qualifying position, which I don't believe he has done particularly often.
No, it's not a typical position for Lolin Ober. He's actually had some extraordinary results in places. Like we said before, a winner back at Miami. That's been his only victory to date so far in the double header that we had around that American circuit. Of course, he has got a sprint race win under his belt though, however. So he does have form. Has currently registered around 12 top 10s in his history. Still not yet achieved a pole position. Nick Flies currently holding on to provisional pole as it stands, but we only have 9 minutes and 50 or so to go. One of the few Italians who actually loves pineapple on his pizza. Forza Ananas for Lolin Ober. He, of course, a very passionate Italian and a firm favourite here in the Creator Series. Goes fastest overall as well with a 1:30.455. Purple in all 3 sectors for the Haas, and Lolin Ober looking to usher his name on pole position for the first time in his Creator Series career, but many others are improving. We welcome Blue Fox into quali in the Creator Series for the first time as well. Has gone with a 24.053 in that first sector, a 27.4 in the middle sector. Not quite as fast as Lolinoba, a couple of tenths off in the first sector. That middle sector, though, is around the mark of where Ricky 03 is. Lolly just beat my time by a mile, says Nick Flies. He is certainly quick, as we now watch as Blue Fox makes his way down through towards turn 14, opening up the throttle yet again in the Scuderia Ferrari. It looks like Formula Kai is having some serious issues. He's out of the session, obviously, unable to take the car here in this qualifying session. As we now watch Blue Fox makes his way up towards the line, goes third fastest, goes faster than Ricky 03. He was around the mark in the middle sector, but excelled in that crucial final sector as well.
Yeah, very tight, just behind Lolinoba. Obviously, a yawning chasm between first and second currently, although I think Razin Chai has something to say about that. Decent track for Lolinoba, it has to be said, and this was probably the first time that we really saw the true pace of Lolly last season. Qualifying in 7th, finishing the race in 5th, was very much in the ballpark trying to get onto the podium. Razin Chai, 8 wins for him out of 84 starts. A decent number of pole positions to go with that as well, as Safso, Season 1 champion, jumps up into second place, although still 3/4 of a second down on Lolly's time. Round the final corner we go with the Alpine Season 5 champion. Does he take over at the top? Yes, he does. 1:30.2 puts 2/10 of a second between himself and Lolinoba. We are inching towards that 1:29 time.
Yeah, Hans as well, double-barreled in second and third. They've got Scott Taylor now, who's ushered his way to within 0.8 of a second. It's currently 777 in behind Razin Chai, but Alpine enter another car into the top 5 as well. Make that the top 3, with Tom now third in this classification. A welcome return for him after winning the sprint race. He's got his teammates up at the very top of the tree. Razin Chai, who's looking to make it. He's got the best poles record in the series. He could make it 16 come the close of this session. We've got 7 minutes and 30 to go. Alex Gillen making his way around the circuit, coming around turn 7, turn 8 to come as well. Alex Gillen also with an impressive 1-lap record as well, but also carries a decent number of race wins to his name as well. 21 in total in the A Sports F1 Creator Series. If you want to know his poles record, 6 poles in his history, but 34 podiums to match and 54 top 10s. He's got 1 Drivers' Championship to his name, and now looking to chase another in this current championship phase. He is 5th in the title race and looking to close the gap, and a win here at China could make all the difference. We are coming into the final 5 races of this championship, as now Gillen sprints down through towards a hairpin. It's a purple first sector as well for Meraki, who's going to come back into this as well. Mr. Dale on an outlap as well. We're going to wait and see what Alex Gillen can usher to the table. 23.7 in that first sector. Meraki getting a toe off his teammate as well, chasing a purple final sector. Alex Gillen moves up to 6th fastest GB, now relegated to 4th. We've got Tim Etmardik in 3rd. Now Lolinoba in 2nd still. He's out on an outlap again, but we all watch Meraki. Purple in that first sector, 27.2 in the middle sector as well. Coming around the final corner, can he go faster again? Can he usurp Razin Chai? No, only enough for 3rd fastest, but within 3.5 tenths. This is getting very close.
Some very interesting goings on here. Tim Etmardik and Alex Gillen were tracking very, very nicely. Ben matched Razin Chai through the first couple of sectors, but lost nearly 4 tenths in the final sector. So maybe a mistake like we saw Lando Norris do in qualifying yesterday, down into turn number 14, or potentially running very high wings and was just losing out with a very draggy car down the straight. So something to ponder, I think, for the reigning champion. Alex Gillen in a similar boat in 7th, 6 tenths off the Alpine.
Yeah, personal bests as well in the first and second sector for Formula Karim. He still remains at the back with the running cars. Mr. Dale has retired early on in this qualifying session. 5 minutes and 30 to go. So that's 2 retirements we now have here at this moment in time prior to the very end of quali. Still time though for final runs and a few cars out on outlaps, but Formula Karim, one of the improvers out there on track. Team radio coming in from Tim Etmardik. I need not again. Goodness me. I tell you what, these drivers, you need to have a word with them. Maybe start imposing fines. I mean, everyone else is doing it, I suppose. As we now watch them make their way out onto the track. Oh my goodness, a 5-place grid penalty for Alex Gillen. Collision with GB, Tom.
Well, yeah, you could just see a group of 3 cars stop going through turn 14. The other Aston Martin of Blackley was involved as well. And that is not going to be music to the ears of Alex Gillen, who's not in a particularly good spot anyway in 8th place, 6 tenths off the outright benchmark set by Razin. Formula Cream just getting within 2 tenths of it, but now at risk of potentially starting outside the top 10. Now, Alex Gillen has had many drives from outside the top 10, done a couple of last to first in his Creator Series career as well. But that is not going to be ideal at all on his return, of course, after he missed the race 1 week ago.
Yeah, absolutely right. Formula Karim still making his way out on track. Remember, we saw him usher in 2 personal bests in the first 2 sectors. Well, he's just gone second fastest, just in behind Racing Chai, within 0.2 of a second of the Alpine. So he'll be happy with that. At this moment in time, he will join Racing Chai on the front row. Like we said, Racing Chai with one of the most impressive pole records that you will see in the Creator Series. It could be 16 should the clock turn to 0 and things remain the same. Lolinoba third, and will start on the second row should it stay like this, with Meraki alongside him too. We got Nick Flies looking to make his way around the track. Still plenty of cars in the pits and maybe looking to go out for one last chance to dance. There's the 2 McLarens, Formula Karim, as we now watch him currently make his way down the straight. The 2 McLarens are actually manacled together. Nick Flies perhaps also looking for a cheeky toe as well. Team radio coming in from Alex Gillen. I was there, he said. Formula Karim running wide to allow Nick Flies. He was certainly there in the sprint race. Nick Flies now looking to try and move his way up the classification, coming around the final corner with the helpful hand from his teammate Formula Karim as he comes up towards the line. 11th fastest for Nick Flies and just over 8.5 tenths off at the top, just outside the top 10.
Papaya rules done right there, I think it is fair to say. Very close to Scott Taylor's time, just under 1/10 of a second, slotting just ahead of Ricky 03. As he invalidates there. Doing a little bit of lawn mowing on the inside. It's going to be touch and go to see whether Nick Flies does want to get back around to go once more in this session. Safso up by a couple of tenths through the first couple of sectors. Needs to find a little bit more, though, trying to potentially usurp his teammate Alex Gillen up into 8th position.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Safso making his way out of turn 14. Now through turn 15, turn 16 once more. 2 minutes and 40 still to go. Cutter Lucas has gone out for an outlap, as has F1 Alex, to try and lift himself from P17. Safso jumps 1 spot, moves up to P12, and now might have to reassess. Maybe he'll try and fuel save for at least one last chance at breaking into that top 10. But it's 12th for now, and now more and more cars are leaving the pit lane. Here comes Blue Fox. He's currently 18th now, but looking to set sail on yet another flying lap. GB68. The whole lobby is waiting for Karim to get a toe. My goodness, they're all chasing toes down that back straight. So obviously, a lot of them testing the patience of the Creator Series stewards, who may not necessarily look fondly upon some of the towing techniques that we're seeing out on track so far.
Chasing toes, but at the moment they're still chasing the tail of Razin Chai, who has got that nice little buffer, and I wonder if he did get a little bit of a slipstream on his flying lap, because he's comfortably quicker than most of his rivals in that final sector. Only Lolinoba has got within a couple of tenths, I believe, of anybody inside the top 6. So Razin potentially helped out by that. His middle sector, though, was very strong as well, so definitely do not take that away from him. A little bit of traffic here, potentially for Blue Fox, maybe getting distracted by this Aston Martin into the braking zone. I'm not sure which one it is, going slightly wide, still in front of them, now pulling out of the way, so there won't be a cheeky slipstream for the Ferrari.
No, not at all. But we got every car that is still in the session now, either out on an out lap, or as I said, that Nick Flies comes into the pits. But the rest currently on laps as we wait to see who's going to improve and who doesn't. Nick Flies obviously invalidating that previous run. It looked like it might have been his in-lap anyway. He retires from the session. He will remain in P11 or worse here so far. But with the flurry of cars that are still out on track that will have optimal conditions, it's currently 16 degrees in the air, 19 degrees in the air, I should say. Cars on track currently sat at 16, 26 degrees track temperature as we now watch Blue Fox make his way uphill through towards turn 1. A very quite the variable in terms of elevation here around China. Of course, the Shanghai International Circuit, you reach uphill, coming through turn 1 towards turn 2, and then straight back down again, coming in towards turn 3. And it starts to flatten off, heading in through sector 2, down through towards sector 3 once more, as we now watch Cutter Lucas in 14th place, looking to get teed up for yet another fast run. Safso retiring from the session will remain 12th for now. Ricky 03 chasing bigger deltas as well. He's in sector 2 for now. Can he improve? Meraki also on an outlap. I get the feeling we're going to see a firecracker finish here. Will Racing remain at the head of the order as well when the timer ticks to 0 and the checkered flag comes out?
Well, somebody trying to steal a march. Tom with a very competitive middle sector, up by a quarter of a second. Could jump him up a few places. Needs to have an absolutely rapid final sector to challenge his teammate, who still holds provisional pole. Interestingly enough, Blue Fox actually set the fastest final sector on that previous unsuccessful lap. So he will be picking up the wooden spoon, but certainly not doing himself a disservice. Only 1.2 seconds of the benchmark time. Look at how close Creator Series is in 2025. You love to see it. The winner of the sprint, navigating the final couple of corners. Got to keep it within track limits. We saw a emphatic fall foul of that. Scott Taylor up into 5th. That, I apologise, Tom, because that is a perfect example. Vintage commentator's curse. And that is 8th at best for the Season 3 champ.
Yeah, difficult moment for Tom, who was on a personal improvement. Tim at Marduk, incidentally, went purple in the first sector and looking to improve once again. And now heading down in towards the final few corners. Turn 14 and is getting, I would say, probably a useful rub from the Alpine of Rasin Chai further up, who's also looking to improve as well. Now, keep your eyes on the prize. A little twitch of the rear there for Rasin Chai as he makes his way up towards the line, improves. Tim at Marduk moves into first place. GB up into third as well. The Mercedes, the championship leader, has stolen it from Rasin Chai for now. Alex Gillen moves up to third fastest. Formula Karim in the McLaren moves up to P1 this time and breaks into the 129s, and that is the first time we have seen it. Meraki up in a second as well, and that's all she wrote. Formula Karim with the fastest qualifying lap we have seen here at China in the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. The first time we have seen a 129, the only driver to do a 129 here in this very session, a 129.975 to take pole position here for the Chinese Grand Prix. Tim at Marduk, his title rival, in second place and current championship leader, with Rasin Chai in third as well. Alex Gillen entering the fold and will be there just ahead of GB. Meraki in 6th, Lolinober in 7th, Infratic in 8th, Scott Taylor in 9th, 10th place for Tom as well. We got Matty D13 on 11th and Ricky 03 in 12th. We got Nick Flies 13th, Zapso in 14th place. Cutter Lucas then further down. Of course, we'll run through the rest of the order when the starting grid becomes available. But there we have it, folks. What an extraordinary qualifying session that certainly was. We all enjoyed that one. A huge battle across the field. That crescendo, the one we were waiting for, that big crescendo right at the very end. Things wouldn't seem right, though, if we didn't check in with our one, the only, TK. TK Clips, are you there?
I certainly am indeed. It's been a fascinating qualifying session. There's not much on my screen at the moment, apart from everybody's point of views, but you can enjoy them temporarily. It's been fascinating. Lots of discussions about toes, and obviously something you've alluded to, of that long back straight is going to be absolutely critical as we head into a race situation. Everybody wanting to basically follow someone through for the qualifying session. Nobody wanted to lead. And then Karim, coming out of absolutely nowhere, didn't get a toe, but put in an absolutely blinding lap, a 29.9 to take pole position here for this afternoon's race. And that, at the end of the day, starts him at the best position on the field.
Yeah, it certainly does. Tom, thank you so much for that, TK. Obviously, yes, you're absolutely spot on. That was indeed our best lap that we have seen in the Creator Series around the China circuit. The first time we've seen a 129, Tom Wilkinson. That's extraordinary.
I was waiting for it. We got it right at the last gasp, waiting for that 29. We almost oversold it a little. It was like, oh, right at the start. Should we get a 29? I think somebody's going to get in there. Tim McMahon missed it by 2 milliseconds. And then Kareem,
so
and he
close.
said Ben. Kareem right at the end, smashing it into the 29s. I'm surprised the gap was as close as it was, though, because he seemed pretty happy with his lap, 29.9. Didn't get a toe, so maybe that could contribute a little bit to why he was slightly down on maybe what we were expecting. But Ben will be getting a lot of confidence from that, because qualifying isn't necessarily his strong suit. Doesn't have a lot of pole positions. Usually starts from sort of 4th, 5th, 6th place and then works his way through very efficiently.
And likewise, it's not really the best of records for Karim to start from pole to eventually gain victory. So once again, this could very easily fall into the hands of Tiamat Marduk again, who seems to have a great record of taking pole positions from Karim and turning them into race victories for himself. But I mean, obviously, what a tremendous effort. 5th pole of his Creator Series career. Incredible job from Karim. But we've got to keep our eyes on that front row, because obviously Tiamat Marduk being there as well, he's going to be fighting him at every turn, Tom.
Yes, but I think Ben, knowing that he's in a very decent position, he's got Kareem just in front of him. He's got his eyes locked on the back of that Papaya McLaren. Kareem, of course, taking Ben's seat that he vacated to head off to Mercedes. I think we might see maybe a slightly more passive version of Tim Marlett. Very happy just to let the race pass him by, not take any unnecessary or undue risk. Be careful of the likes of GB or Alex Gillen or Razin Chai behind him, but just keep his eyes firmly focused on Formula Kareem and bank as many points as possible just to continue that championship push.
Yeah, absolutely right. So obviously some big players further down as well. Alex Gillen coming into the fold. Great lap as well from Scott Taylor as well initially just prior to the end to jump right up into that top 10. I know you saw it as well. It took us all off guard, I think, coming into the final phase of qualifying. Big result. What can that do for him? Obviously, Haas are fairly competitive. They got a brilliant Italian in Lolin Ober, who is proven to also be a race winner and also take countless podiums, top 10s, you name it. He's been there, he's done it. If he gets a clear run, he can be dangerous.
100%. We always see flashes of the true Scott Taylor performance. Started on the front row a couple of seasons ago in Brazil, let's not forget. So if he can try and just string together and piece together a race, maybe again, similar to Kareem, a little bit lacking in experience in this level of the Creator Series, that'll give him a good amount of confidence. Infratic as well, been really solid over the last few weeks. He starts from position number 8. I think he'll be very delighted with that performance also. And then Lolin Ober as well, starting from 7th. He's always becoming Mr. Consistent, isn't he, Lolly?
He certainly is. Give us your predictions as well, folks, there in the live chat. Lots of you have been getting involved. Big shout out to Formula Yoshi on Twitch, actually coming out with Blue Fox Army. It's great to see Blue Fox here and all his fans coming here to watch him as well. We want to hear from you guys, though, in the chat. Keep him lit up, whether you're watching wherever you are, on Twitch, YouTube, even on TikTok for the very first time. And be sure to leave a follow if you haven't done so already. And check out the Creator Series at F1 Creator Series on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. You can find it all there. And we post reels on the regular as well. Looking across the rest of the order as well, credit has to go as well to our Inters Pole winner, Formula Kareem. More points going his way, Tom. And these little points, whilst obviously they don't necessarily compare to, 25 points for a race win, for example, when you come towards the dire stages of a season, it's those little moments, those little one-pointers that could make all the difference.
Yeah, you got to keep racking them up. We saw season 5, season 6, some of the closest championship battles that we've ever seen in the Creator Series decided by just a couple of points. So every point makes a difference. You can't throw a result away if, lose your head a little bit. You find yourself down in P9 or P10. Oh, it's only 5 or 6 points. Not that worth it. I'm just going to do something silly, throw it in a wall, maybe to try and help somebody out in previous races. Every point counts. And I think that's also a testament to how competitive the Creator Series is now.
Yeah, and obviously GB coming back in the fold, had a very good late lap here in quali. Didn't have the best of sprint races. This is the ideal point where he can obviously bounce back here, Tom. He's going to be starting on the second row of the grid. He looks strong. Looking at prior results, he's obviously come in with a good run this season. 3 wins so far in his career, but taking 2 of his wins this season, which could mean absolutely everything. And, if he starts, sort of bundling up these results, maintaining the confidence, keeping the momentum in his favour, he could be online to taking a 4th of all time and 3rd win of the season.
100%. I think the biggest compliment we can give to GB is the fact that he had a very quiet sprint race, and we're pointing it out because we expect somebody like GB now to be fighting for top 5s at worst, podiums and race wins. He's now shown he's got the caliber and he's got the potential to do so. Championships indeed, 3rd in the championship. So I think that'll spur him on. Did a decent job to recover. He wasn't in a brilliant position going into the final runs, but ever the cool, calm and collected head, Mr. GB, getting that decent lap on the board and putting himself back where he should be.
Yeah, and obviously Aston Martin, back-to-back Constructors champions in the last 2 seasons, of course, alongside his teammate, that guy Vince, this season, who isn't actually here tonight. Of course, Blackmere stepping in place of that guy Vince. But also we've had changes. We alluded to Blue Fox stepping in. Obviously, his first appearance here. Always tough when you're the newbie, Tom, coming into a grid like this of the season and are racing week in, week out. Obviously, Blue Fox, right at the last moment, he was given the call up, coming in to replace Noiguera. We credit him for that. Obviously, though, coming up against those season campaigners, it's going to be tricky. Starting 18th on the grid, how do you think he'll fare?
I think from what we saw in qualifying, he'll do really well. I think he should be very pleased with the performance. Yes, he qualified slowest, a second and a half off the pace. But if you look at how close it was and considering how late the call-up was, I think he's done himself a very, very decent job and should take a lot of pride out of that. And realistically, he's only going to get quicker as he becomes more acclimatized, hasn't been able to practice like some of the other drivers have been able to do. Whether he can adapt to the wild card that we've got with the minimum fuel, that's another question to be asked. But pace-wise, I think it was really, really impressive considering how late he came in.
And also with Fabio being in the top 10 as well, chasing big points. Obviously, he's had a fair, top 10 record, 32 to date, chasing his 33rd. That elusive race win is still a little bit out of reach at the moment. Only has one podium to his name. Do you think there's going to be a sense of frustration going to be kicking in for the Portuguese? Because we know what he's capable of, and he has put a lot of work into his game over recent seasons.
I don't think there'll be frustration yet, because I think there's still a journey to go on with Fabio, but I do think this is the best version of Infratic that we have ever seen in the Creator Series. The consistency was always the problem. I think he's just starting to get that. We gave him Driver of the Day a couple of weeks ago, has been solid for a number of weeks now. If he can just continue to do that, rack up the points, gain the confidence, which can sometimes beat him down. He's a little bit of a confidence player, like you'd see in football or cricket, for example. If that's sky high, he's a very dangerous horse.
Well, maybe we can see him like his fellow countryman, Cristiano Ronaldo, pull off a mighty Sue come the end of the race. We'll wait and see. But obviously, Meraki, another one to watch. One of the highest point scorers of all time in the Creator Series, also with 1,332 as well. We will be taking a look at the starting grid now very shortly as well, folks, ahead of the next race. Obviously, we'll keep you posted as to when that comes available. We'll check out the standings, though, prior to us getting into racing action, just to give you guys an update as to how the campaign looks. TMM Malik on 185, 15 points ahead of Formula Karim, who sits in second for McLaren. That points gap still so tight. One win can change it all, with GB68 sat in third as well for Aston Martin. We've got Meraki, who could do with a really big result. He's level on points with Alex Gillen. Both those two coming into the top end for this race here at China. We'll soon see whether they can contest for that race win. Rasin Chai, ever the consistent driver for Alpine, of course, carries that huge pole record. Of course, not pole though this time, despite holding on to top spot for a considerable portion of that qualifying session. He's level on points with Lolinoba right now on 117. Noiguera in 8th place on 67, met with that guy Vince on the same level of points, both of whom aren't featured tonight. Ricky 03 in 10th place on 65. He could leapfrog them both coming off the back of tonight's race, should he score the points necessary. Formula Kai in 11th as well, had his problems in qualifying. Technical issues seemed to phase the Sauber driver. We got Zafso in 12th on 47. Infratic in 13th. Remember, starting in the top 10 could also leapfrog the odd driver here or there. We then have Nick Flies further down, improving all the time is Nick Flies. Keep your eyes peeled on him throughout the course of the race. Adam Sanderson also not here. He's going to be at the mercy of cars further back as well, with Tom marking a reappearance. He could leapfrog Matati and Hayden Gullis. Matati on 31, Gullis on 28 in 17th. Tom currently sat in 18th. Scott Taylor in 19th place on 20th, and Grid Jokes then further back in 20th himself. So that's the view on the driver standings. We can, of course, look onwards at the constructors. We'll give you guys a view on the teams championship to see how that looks out. We've got Mercedes and Aston Martin 1 and 2. Still very narrow are the points right now. 8 points between them. We've got McLaren in third as well on 204. They are 20 points behind Aston Martin. Visa Catch-Up RB in fourth place on 197. Alpine in fifth on 169. Red Bull in sixth place on 158, with Haas on 137 in seventh place. Ferrari in eighth on 126, and Williams in ninth on 93, and Sauber with lots of work to do in 10th place on 64 points. But there we go. Already we're feeling the tension. It's palpable here ahead of this Chinese Grand Prix. We're going to be heading to the Shanghai International Circuit very shortly. But first and foremost, we're going to bring in TK and, of course, Tom Wilkinson back in. We're going to have a three-way podcasty conversation. Tom, obviously we were discussing, I'm going to say TK because you're both called Tom. TK, obviously looking ahead to this race here, we've been looking at the permutations. And I have to say, we've had championships in the past, haven't we, in the Creator Series that have been probably close between maybe one, maybe two drivers, or maybe even three on the odd occasion. But it just feels with this season that we are entering multiple candidates into the fold. And I must say, with only a certain number of races to go, we could arrive at the final round with, maybe even 5 or 6 candidates.
Absolutely right. We're at that stage of the game now. Drivers are well accustomed to the physics. They're well accustomed to how the game as a whole is handling. But also, I think you've all had a season where drivers have developed. They've come in, worked as a whole, and the friendliness on the field is actually something that I will commend over the course of this season and last. It's been very friendly. Everyone's helping each other out. And even that's what's pulled the gap together with everybody. It's been a camaraderie ship that the entire field is sharing.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's certainly very tight. I'm going to have to leave you guys now because there's only one thing we have to do. It's the starting grid. Let's take a little look. We head to the Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix here in the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. From the bottom to the top, we'll take you through the grid. Mr. Dale J.E. starts from 20th place. Both he and Formula Kai retiring in qualifying. Kai starting in 19th. 18th place for SS Blue Fox. He has been brought in to replace Noiguera. F1 Alex, a very difficult session for him once again, starts from 17th. 16th for Blackmere, who is coming in for Dat Guy Vince. He's joined by Cutter Lucas, who comes in to replace Adam Sanderson. Then we have 14th PS1 Hagrid back again. Safso, ever the dependable in the RB, in the Aviators, with Nick Flies after impressive showing of pace in the sprint. Can he do something this time? Ricky 03 starts P12 for Williams, alongside also Matty D13 coming in as a replacement for Hayden Gullis at Williams as well. It's an all Williams 11th and 12th. Inside the top 10, our sprint race winner, Tom, achieving a P10 start alongside Alex Gillen in 9th place. We move up to 8th as well. Scott Taylor, what a thunderous lap that was to elevate himself into the top 10 in the dying moments. He has got Infratic for company in the Ferrari, who's also looking for yet only his second podium of the season. Could be a win as well. We've got Lolin Ober in 6th place, former winner in the Creator Series back at Miami. He's going to be joined by Meraki, a former champion back in Season 4. He starts 5th. In 4th place, GB68 on one of his best season campaigns to date. He could be in line for a 3rd win, though he's got Rasin Chai alongside him, who has been impressive all weekend long. And then in the front row, we've got the 2 championship contenders. They arrive in 1st and 2nd in the championship, but it's roles reversed here on the starting grid. Tim Marduk in 2nd. He's got Formula Karim on pole position here this time for a 5th time this season for the lights to go red. And here they come. 3 lights, 4 lights, and the 5th light. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Formula Karim getting a good start, very aggressively pointed from Tim Marduk to the outside as he looks to try and tuck in behind Karim's car, but being challenged straight away by Rasin Chai coming around turn 2 and in towards turn 3 as well. Turn 4 about to come up as they run wheel to wheel over 2nd place. It's Tim Marduk in 2nd. He'll retain 2nd place, battering back down Rasin Chai, who looked to challenge him coming through the 1st corner, but already now in this 1st sector, it's Karim who leads. Down the inside from Lolin Ober as well on Infratic as they battle over 5th place, and it looks like the Haas Ferrari-powered car might have done it, and he fancies 4th as well, but GB holds firm and retains that 4th place.
It does, and it is, and this will probably sound quite obvious, but Alex Gillen will be very, very happy with his position at the moment because he is the leader in the train. He can just try and control the pace and let everybody else throw the punches at himself. He's doing a very decent job on the better tyre at this stage also. Those yellow stripe mediums did very well off the line, now reaping the rewards of a very good first lap.
Yeah, absolutely. GB trying to urge ever closer to the back of Tim Marduk's car. Of course, GB with an impressive race record as of this season especially. Could actually break the 1,000 points total mark that he has managed throughout the course of this series career that he has established. Of course, twice a Constructors' Champion. He's got 996 points to his name in total, with 3 wins ushered in, 2 of them this season as we discussed prior, 28 podiums, 1 sprint race win as well alike. Wasn't able to capture it though this time here at China as we now watch as Lolin Ober gets close to the back of GB on the run down through towards turn 14. Hesitated ever so slightly, but now deciding to try and make that crucial manoeuvre. GB cutting it off as they head out of turn 15, turn 16 now to bring lap 6 to an end, and lap 7 will begin. Still Gillen in front.
Yeah, that was interesting from Lolino, but just dangling the nose up the inside of GB, maybe trying to force him a little bit wide or spook him potentially into the braking zone. Formula Kai is absolutely rapid at the moment, using those medium tyres to his advantage. He's come up all the way from last into 9th place now. Infratic losing a couple of spots. Ricky 03 also on the mediums, getting past Nick Flies.
Yeah, problems for Tom. He's forgot to put his setup on, which is certainly going to cause him, I think, a lot of problems. He's down in 12th place and behind Matty D13 at this moment in time. And obviously would love to be in the top 10 fighting for the big points. But at this moment will retain that P12. Just needs to try and do something at this moment, even without his setup, as we now watch him head through around this next left-hander at turn 7. Turn 8 then to come after this. They're in sector 2 proper. No changes for the lead at this moment in time. We're still at this stage with Alex Gillen up at the very top of the tree as we now watch as Tom flies through this next double left-hander at turns 9 and turns 10. Of course, Tom coming back into the season after a lengthy break after trying to refurbish up his streaming room, has brought in a brand new motion sim that has since obviously been catching all the eyeballs so far since he's come back to streaming proper, and it's great to see Tom back as always here at the Creator Series as well. Formula Karim with the DRS open on the run down through towards turn 14, not close enough to Alex Gillen, who is still managing the pace out in front. Remember, of course, they've got to contest the very low fuel through the course of this race, try and manage it in order to bring the car home in one piece. They're running on minimum fuel here in this race at China, so a lot to be wary about here at this very sensitive point of the race, and we're not even halfway through.
I'm expecting we will see some drivers running out of fuel, getting it slightly wrong, going into panic stations come the last 5 or 6 laps of the race. Everybody moving over to the right-hand side to avoid the bumps, as Dale is going to lose 13th position to Blackmere, swooping around the outside of turn number 1. Tim Modic happy with his fuel level at the moment, probably happy with his position as well, sat comfortably in third, just nestled in behind the Papaya McLaren of Kareem.
Yeah, Tim Modic, who is quite prudent to saving fuel. He does it consistently, generally, on his Creator Series races, so is certainly not finding any issues at this moment in time. Still Alex Gillen, though, out in front. The gap now extending between himself and Formula Karim right now. It's 8.5 tenths of a second as it stands, and further back, Tim Modic getting closer to Karim now, this time with GB also there in fourth. I suppose if they're just waiting behind and just utilising the DRS, they can manage that fuel output, can't they, Tom?
They can. It's very interesting to see what the tactics will be, because Alex Gillen so far seems very content just to sit in the lead of the race, control the pace and almost manage his own race rather than relying on external factors. And the gaps are starting to spread out a little bit. Everybody, of course, keeping within the 1 second window. The DRS is usually very important in F1 24, going to be doubly important in a race like this. London still shadowing every move, pulled by GB in the battle for 4th and 5th. And I think the Haas is going to try and make a move and get up into 4th place successfully this time, and it's not even a contest. Into the braking zone, comfortable overtake for Lolinoba up into 4th.
Yeah, he's been knocking on the door of GB for quite some time as Lolinoba, and coming in to this round with 180 points, total points to his name so far in his Creator Series history, and carrying that one win that he took at Miami a few rounds ago, as he now rises up through turn 1 and now around turn 2 and in towards turn 3 as well. Lap 9 of 56, still a lengthy way to go. Alex Gillen, who is the only previous race winner on this grid ahead of this Season 9 venture to China. He won it back in Season 1 with Bushians taking that pole position in that one, and could be the only driver on record to actually take more than one race win at the Shanghai International Circuit in the Creator Series, as we now watch them come around turn 7 once more. But Karim and Tim Modic, you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to want to try and stop that from happening, not to mention the rest of the grid that are out there on track right now. GB still remaining within half a second of Lolinoba in 4th as well. Rasin Chai still in the mix. The only gap that we can see that's beyond a second is the one between Nick Flies and Formula Kai inside that top 10. Not to mention, though, Infratic 4 seconds behind Nick Flies and starting to become detached with Matty D13 all over his tail.
Yeah, and we're not always sure, are we, whether that's down to pace or whether that's down to his fuel strategy. Infratic potentially going for a back off very early, recover the fuel as quickly as possible, and then gun it in the last maybe 15 or 20 laps there with a massive snap of oversteer coming through turns 12 and 13. Going to leave him exceedingly vulnerable coming down this main straight. Infratic saying surely somebody is going to bin it. Everybody fighting quite hard. Formula Kai continuing to march through the field. He's up into 7th place now as Dale does relinquish 12th back to the Aston Martin of Blackmere.
Not sure whether that's wishful thinking from Fabio, obviously hoping that he can get a safety car so they can conserve that fuel load, just so they can pick it up a little bit and be allowed to push perhaps that little bit more. Obviously they've got to be very cautious of the inputs they're making, because obviously higher rev in the engine is going to cause you to deplete more and more fuel, as now Gillen makes his way out of turn 2 and through turn 3 with Formula Karim also on his tail. Tim Modic urging that little bit closer, and we heard from Benjamin Daly earlier on, already comfortable with the fuel load that he has behind him in his car. Obviously not worried about making moves in this initial stint. I would imagine a lot of it is going to take place towards the end of the race.
Yeah, going to be the fastest game of chicken you would ever see in your life. Couple of stops. Into the pits goes Matty D as Safso, who's had an absolute stinker so far, the Season 1 champion, getting out of the way, already being lapped within the first 11 of this Grand Prix. Not good news at all for him.
Yeah, and obviously Safso, I mean, we're just looking at that, 32 seconds behind F1 Alex, and there's a gap between F1 Alex and Blue Fox of 12.3, and then a 49.6 between Blue Fox and Matty D13. But Matty D13 going in, I think, for an initial strategy call. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 2 here on lap 10. Not quite sure what's gone wrong there. Obviously, no concerns that we can visibly see on the timing tower. It might be, it might be Zaf. So obviously he is under blue flags at the moment, so having to slow up to allow other cars through. We got some movements for the back. Fabio losing 2 places. Not quite sure what's happened there, but Blackmere has hopped up to 10th, and Mr. Dale up to 11th.
Haven't spoken too much about Meraki either. Had a terrible first lap, and he is also going for that try and recover the fuel as early as possible tactic, because the Season 4 champion is down in 16th at the moment, 1.7 seconds off the back of F1 Scott. So we're just starting to see the different tactics that all the drivers are employing. So this could be his tactic: recover the fuel as physically quick as possible, go a couple of laps down, and then gun it for the rest of the race. That'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out. Tom into the pits as well. He's struggling with that default setup, lost a load of places. From 16th, he is going to be, well, probably moving on to the mediums, you would imagine.
And you have to wonder how that default setup is going to certainly help in terms of managing that fuel load. In the meantime, whilst we're reaching a semi-breaking plate, we'll head across to TK Clips. TK, what have you got for us?
Well, there's a couple of incidents just going to go through very, very quickly. I'll take that back to the beginning. It was Razin Chai back on lap 2 sent a cheeky little dive down the inside of one team at Marduk. Alas, didn't quite work out for him on this occasion, dropped him back behind GB. I believe Lolly Noba was right on his tail after that point as well. One other just to have a look at, of course, Dale went around slightly earlier on in the session, back on lap 5. You see it just there on the inside of the hairpin. I think he was side by side with Matty D13. You can just see him on the inside there. Maybe a little bit optimistic on the brake, sent one down the inside, and alas, that Red Bull Racing car, after locking the rears, has sent itself round.
Well, drama indeed heading around turn 14. Thank you, TK, for that. And already we can see the drama picking up down the long straight, coming in towards turn 14 as well. Tiamat Marduk currently sat in third, just off the back of Formula Karim as it stands. So the gaps are still fairly equal between the top 3 as a whole, and Lolinoba making up a top 4 with Formula Kai coming into it. Formula Kai has quietly moved his way up top. I must say, we didn't necessarily factor him in being up at the higher end coming into the start of the race, but has quietly made his way now into the top 5 and has actually brushed ahead of the likes of Rasin Chai, GB and Ricky 03 as well.
Feeling very comfortable on those medium tyres, which are definitely the compound you want to be on at this stage. That's why Alex Gillen looks so comfortable out in front. Ricky 03 has also picked up some places. He's almost picked up a bit of a name as a quali merchant for the Kai. Been absolutely rapid over one lap, picked up that famous pole position at Monaco a few weeks ago, but hasn't quite converted it into a race victory, as Tom is just starting to acclimatise to the setup he's got. Maybe it was a soft tyre problem, jumping onto the medium feels a little bit more comfortable. Yellow flag is out. I'm not sure who that is for. One of the Red Bulls going slowly. Dale's just lost a couple of places, so maybe he's backing off fuel very aggressively to try and recover it. Not sure. Not troubling the apex either of turn number 6, but is going to hold 12th for the time being, ahead of Scott Taylor.
Yep, Scott Taylor threatening the back of Dale's Red Bull as they come through the next left, but Dale doing enough just to hang on at this moment in time. Just got it slightly wrong coming out of turn 6 on the run out of the hairpin, but has recovered somewhat, though Scott Taylor is going to stay with him, is within, was within a quarter of a second, and now heading down through towards turn 11, through towards turn 12. They'll enter sector 3, and again another lock up of the rears, and a bit of a tricky angle. Scott Taylor just feeding the rear also on his car, step out just a little bit. Lolinoba has been fighting it out with Formula Kai, and we've just seen Ricky 03 lose out to GB, albeit they're still fighting now. Here comes Scott Taylor rushing past Mr. Dale in a battle over P12, and the Haas successfully moves on through and now needs to chase down after Cutter Lucas. Here comes Dale though, with Meraki being allowed through past his Red Bull teammate. So some teamwork interplay there from the 2 Red Bulls as we now move ourselves into the top 10 as Ricky 03 does battle with GB over that P7 as well. Fights all across this 20 car classification as they now come out of turn 3 and through towards turn 4, 5 and 6, and very shortly in towards sector 2 as well. They started to just divide a little bit. Rasin Chai 2.5 seconds away from Formula Kai.
Yeah, and that's a big break in the DRS train. Not 100% sure what would have gone on there, because Rasin was still in the DRS group of that leading quintet now, going into the hairpin. So maybe a bit of a kerfuffle between himself and GB, and they've paid the price a little bit, having to do a little bit more donkey work as they come onto lap 13. Alex Gillen has also broken the DRS out in front, maybe just trying to put a little bit of time between himself and the group behind, although Formula Cream I think may have just about got it. It's touch and go, sat at 1.0 seconds. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays it, whether he's desperate to get back into the 1 second window or just happy to back off a little bit. Those gaps starting to open up though. 1.1, 7 tenths and then 8 tenths of a second between the top 4.
Yep, the gap stretching out between Gillen and Karim now to 1.2. TMM Marduk will be chasing after him, half a second in behind. So Gillen on the mediums. This strategy is really starting to work here for the former champion as he now looks to make his way through towards the final corner. Big points could be on the table here for RB. Karim, though, still looking, hunting down any delta he can fathom, but it's floated out to 1.5 now. It looks like those on the softs are starting to feel the pinch. Lolin Ober tucked in behind Formula Kai, and I think that, once again, proven truth. This safety car comes out, and Mr. Dale has crashed again. It will be a nil point once more for Mr. Dale, who will now bring out the safety car and will retire from this race. And unfortunately, that is our first retirement here at China. Blackmere straight in the pits.
Interesting place to end up minus a couple of wheels on your wagon on the straight, getting very congested out in front. A couple of drivers also coming in, Nick Flies and Cutter Lucas as well. This is going to make everybody's life that much easier with the fuel. They're going to be able to save maybe even up to a lap under this safety car, and that's going to really change the dynamic coming into the second half of this race. Tyre strategy is going to be interesting as well. What does Alex Gillen do on these mediums that are working very nicely for him at the moment? You would imagine everybody behind on the softs is going to try and get shot of those.
Yeah, I would imagine so. There's still quite a healthy gap between Matty D13 and GB further up, and obviously pretty much all of them, if not all of them, have not boxed at all. So a lot of them still on the soft tyres, and can obviously alleviate those. The obvious concerns obviously might be those who I don't think anyone's going to need to double stack though in that top 8, because obviously there's one of each team pretty much in that top 8 right now. Mr. Dale leaving the session, unfortunate end to his race here at China. As we now watch as Alex Gillen under the safety car makes his way down the straight. Matty D13 just looking to close that gap. Remember, of course, stopping. Blackmere receiving a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. So that's disaster for Blackmere, who's now going to have to look to get that served and might have to under the pit stop phase. There's the drive-through. In fact, no, because he can't take a set of tyres, so he's almost got to go through the pit lane twice, which is going to sink him lower and lower, and no surprise to see them all come in now, even those on the mediums coming in for a stop. Formula Karim also following suit. Tim and Marduk, in comes Kai, Lolin Ober, Rasin Chai surely has got to box as well. He is currently 6 seconds behind Lolin Ober. He does come in, and so will Ricky 03, I am sure, as they now make their way down the straight. No, Ricky's staying out.
Ooh, interesting one there for Ricky, going with the alternate strategy. I can very much get behind that. Big fan to see Ricky doing something different. Alex Gillen going onto the soft tyres. Not that surprising, trying to get them out of the way because they're not a particularly good race tyre compared to the mediums, and everybody else going onto the mediums, with the exception of GB68 going soft. Watch that space. Going to be quick at the restart, but those tyres might fall off a little bit. I think the strategy for GB is probably try and get a little bit better track position, because he started to lose it come the end of that first stint.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of saw the soft tyres really come to a bitter end after, say, between 10 to 12 laps, didn't we, Tom? I would suggest. So we probably will likely see GB box again around about lap 28, I would say, somewhere around there onto a set of medium tyres. So we're going to see probably more than just the one stop. Obviously, I'd imagine we could even see as high as 3 stops through the course of this China race. I'm going to head across to the man TK to see whether he's got any updates for us on the big incident involving Mr. Dale. What's the latest, TK?
Well, latest on it was intentional safety car from Mr. Dale. Unfortunately, it looks like he lost partial control of the car, we'll put it nicely in that regard. And alas, yeah, safety cars come out. A few drivers getting caught out, a few of them benefiting from the safety car's presence on this occasion. Everybody else at the moment just pitting the course, getting a fresh set of boots on. We're only about a third of the way through the Grand Prix, so we can try and pull this one through.
Thank you very much, TK. Incredible stuff indeed. Obviously, lots of drama appearing out on track. I must say, folks, incredible stuff. I must say, battles across the board. Team radio from Rasin Chai. GB's done that, done the strat I was tempted to do. So, interesting. Obviously, we did get alerted to the fact that GB put on a second set of soft tyres before then jumping onto surely a medium appearance will be coming up very soon after, I would imagine. But it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. Obviously, Ricky 03 favouring track position. We got Gillen now moving on to the softs off the mediums. Pretty much everyone else jumping off the softs onto the medium compounded tyre. Just how well do you think GB strategy is going to work here, Tom?
Oh, it's a tough one. I think he'll get some track position very quickly. And, you know, Rasin, who also lost a few places, just got mired in a little bit of that leading group just battling with each other a little bit too hard, dropping down into 7th place now. Obviously, it was 6th before the safety car came out. DB trying to get the soft tyres out of the way so we can use the best tyres at the latter stages of the Grand Prix. Usually something we see Tiamat Marduk do. As Blackmere's coming into the pits, I hope that's not him trying to serve his drive-through penalty, because that is not allowed under safety car conditions, and if that was his plan, he might be getting a bit of a nasty surprise here. What we do need to think about and take into consideration, though, is because people aren't pushing as hard, there's going to be a lot of lift and coasting going on. The tyre wear is going to be nowhere near as significant as it would be if we were at 100%.
Yeah, looks like it's just a simple tyre change for Blackmere as it stands. So he's onto a fresh set of medium tyres now as he ventures back out onto the track, and will then later rejoin the rest of the order as they now make their way around the circuit. Of course, this gives an opportunity to the likes of Blue Fox, F1 Alex, and Zafso to try and close up to the pack. We've got team radio from Alex Gillen, insert moaning about safety cars here. Obviously, Alex Gillen not happy with the fact that we're seeing more and more safety cars again, detracting obviously from the fuel allowance situation. It allows those drivers to pretty much conserve everything they can, and I'd imagine we'll get to a point where we will see them start firing on all cylinders here at this moment, Tom, and we'll perhaps even start to see a lot more overtaking through towards the rest of this race.
100%. Might become a little bit scrappy as well, as different people get their fuel back at different times of the race and decide, right, here's an opportunity where I can effectively drop everybody else behind me and give myself a nice little buffer to the group behind. So that's going to be interesting. We're hearing from TK and Clipper Corner that most are on about -1 lap. So realistically, just driving normally, they could probably save that with just a little bit of lift and coast around the lap into the hairpin of turn 14, for example, and through turns 1, 2, 3 and 4, the snail section, right at the start of the lap.
Now we're hearing from Mr. Dale in our Twitch chat. Sorry guys, overestimated myself over a 12-hour endurance and creator series. My legs gave out. Just ran out of stamina here at this point, Tom.
Yeah, a shame, because it was looking pretty good for Dale. Was in a very decent position early on. Obviously had that little bit of front wing damage, but anything can happen. I think if there was a little bit of chaos going on in the race, I would probably back Dale to come through that very nicely.
Yeah, no, I'd imagine so. Obviously, we'll see Dale, I'm sure, in the not too distant future when we come back for yet more Creator Series. We've got plenty of rounds still to go, with round 10 coming up after this when we stay in Asia with the Japanese Grand Prix coming up then, and then Bahrain for a double header. And there's the team radio for Mr. Dale. I've got nothing left, he says. And obviously that is pretty much clear based on what we saw from the retirement. And also further down into the calendar, round 12, we've got Jeddah coming up, and then the mystery race, which will include a sprint and a race as well at the very end of the season to decide who will then become champion. And it looks likely we could see this championship fight go all the way to the final round for that mystery race. Big question is, will it be Tiamat Marduk, will it be Formula Krim, or will it be even GB, Meraki, Alex Gillen? At this point, if Alex Gillen was to win, obviously with Riccio 3 being on older tyres, obviously I would imagine in terms of a net standpoint, Alex Gillen is technically your net race leader. If it does stay that way, and he does maximise his points advantage, it will thrust him right up and clear, really, of Razin Chai, and urging himself close to the back of Meraki. But he does still have a lot of work to do, does Alex Gillen. He needs a faultless rest of the campaign.
He does indeed. Leaving himself just that little bit too much work to do at this stage. But Alex Gillen, we know the ability he's got. He can string together, 3 weeks where he wins. Most of them now on -0.6. So we're getting to the point where the majority of them can probably drive fairly normally for the rest of the race. We go back to a sort of default Creator Series Grand Prix. Alex Gillen maybe just playing a few games here with Riccio 3. He's really trying to back off. Oh no, it's Safso, sorry, my mistake there. The lap cars being let back through. Safso positive now on fuel, so he's managed to get all of that back very, very quickly indeed. We of course wish Dale good luck for the rest of his endurance race that will be taking place later this evening as well. Safety car in this lap, and Safso, oh dear. Safso disqualified, ignoring yellow flags. I think that's the game deciding, you know what, Saf? I don't want you taking part anymore. You can go and take an early shower, mate.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's banishment for PS1 Hagrid. As you can just see him on the right-hand side of the screen, his car still limping along on the AstroTurf on the right-hand side as the rest of the cars then make their way around. Riccio 3 will lead them down through towards turn 14. They're furiously trying to get the tyres warmed up here at this point. So keep your eyes on the prize, everyone. Let us know in the live chat as to who you think is going to win this race. We've still got a long way to go here in this one. Approximately 49 laps or so to go before we decide who's going to win the Chinese Grand Prix. Right at the tail, you can see the distance. Mr. F1 Alex, I should say, TTV. After Mr. Dale retired, that brought out the safety car. It will now come to an end, and Ricky 03 will take them around, essentially being the safety car. As the foot goes to the floor, around turn 16 you will go and put pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. It's Ricky 03 out in front. Here comes Tiamat Marduk straight away as we ride on board with the Mercedes, but already now Gillen looking for the opportunity to take the race lead advantage. Needs to get it done because he's on fresh soft tyres and will want to build a gap. A beautiful switchback from Alex Gillen moves him up into the lead of the race. Coming out of turn 2, no longer a net leader, he is a full race leader. Here comes Tiamat Marduk also on the tail of Formula Karim, the two title rivals, 1 and 2 in the championship, and now Tiamat Marduk looking to make it 3rd and 4th between them now, as now Tiamat Marduk moves up and into 3rd place, and now hunting after Ricky 03 himself. He is only half a second away.
Clinical, as you would expect from Alex Gillen, the Season 2 champion, straight on the money, getting ahead of Ricky 03 and putting a car between himself and his main rivals, and he's been allowed to scamper off into the distance. And as for Formula Cream, I think he just left himself open to that a little bit, ran very wide through the final corner. We saw him do that earlier on in the race as well. Tiamat Marduk saying thank you very much, gave himself an opportunity down to turn number 6, grabbing it with both hands.
Yeah, wonderful start for Tiamat Marduk, wonderful start for Alex Gillen. He's now 1.7 clear and looking to coast onwards as well. Benjamin Daly knows he needs to get rid of Ricky 03's Williams ASAP. It's never been more vital. He will, of course, have the benefits of that DRS, but it looks like it's slammed shut right now as they peel down through towards turn 14, and he's bringing along Formula Karim for the ride as both of them look to brush on through past Ricky 03, who I'm sure is full of regret for not boxing when he probably should have under the safety car. Lolin Ober now in 5th place as well, with Formula Kai in 6th as well. They're going to fly down the long straight now and begin their lap 19 of 56. Gillen setting the fastest lap of the race, 2.3 seconds clear of Tiamat Marduk in behind. But the big question is, can those medium tyres on Tiamat Marduk do for him what they did for Alex Gillen at the very start of the race, as now Ricky 03 is at the mercy of Lolin Ober in a battle over 4.
Well, how do you play this now if you're Tiamat Marduk and Formula Cream? Do you just continue to focus on the fuel that is very close to being back to 0.0 laps remaining, or negative to positive, I should say? Or do you try and work together to chase back after Alex Gillen, who's been given a 2.5 second buffer to effectively now just do exactly what he wants out in the lead of this race? I think he'll be loving every second that he's got Tiamat Marduk and Formula Cream comfortably in his rear view mirrors.
Yeah, certainly does, but obviously that can all change in a brief moment. Lap 19 of 56, plenty more to go as we now watch them hustle down the long straight towards turn 11. Semi-straight, of course, as they now peel uphill through turn 12 and out of turn 11. As Gillen now sends them down the long straight. Just how long can these softs hold out? Of course, when we saw it from prior, around 10 to 12 laps was about the lifespan of them while the safety car came out. We'll have to wait and see whether they can last that little bit longer. But here comes Formula Karim now, looking to make a move past Tiamat Marduk for P2. They will, of course, swap, I'd imagine, just to utilise that DRS to get close to our race leader. Down the inside from GB68 as he looks to tussle with Ricky 03 and Formula Kai at the same time. Kai comes out in 5th. GB in 6th, both cars dressed in green, will now meet again down the long straight, and GB in the wheel tracks as now the rear light flashes on the back of Kai's car. He's looking to save that ERS, and now GB looking to take full advantage, as is Rastin Chai around the outside. That is absolutely brilliant. He is now rushed on through up into that 5th place. He caught them napping, took the outside line through turns 1, out of turn 2. He now holds 5th place. GB down into 6th.
And Ricky picking up front wing damage in that little exchange as well. So Raz and Chai leaving absolutely no time on the table there, launching it around the outside of a couple of cars. And it was a lovely little move from the Season 5 champion, Formula Cream and Tiamat Marduk. Teamwork, baby! Working together to try and bring Alex Gillen back towards them, crucial for Lolin Ober as well. He's managed to go with Karim and Tiamat Marduk, and in fact is potentially trying to get in between them. Had a little look around the outside of turn number 8, but happy at the moment just to hold station. And Raz and Chai has also managed to, well, he did manage to get himself back under 1 second. It's going to be touch and go whether he gets the DRS or not, but that should be that little break that we saw in the DRS train coming back together.
We are hearing as well potentially rain in 15 minutes also from Formula Karim as it stands, so sit tight everybody. It's far from over yet. That message came out approximately 3 minutes ago, so we could yet see it over the course of the next 5 to 10 laps or so as we now watch them burst down the long straight again. Tim Marduk looking to move up into second, does so. Lolinoba looking to move into the top 3, and he does so as well, but a switch back on offer for Formula Karim, who's going to look to try and get his position back. Can't quite do it on the run now through towards turn 16. He will have DRS though, as Benjamin Daly will be exposed to those behind, but they've all managed to gain on the back of Alex Gillen, with fastest laps being exchanged between Tiamat Marduk and Rasin Chai further back. Here comes Lolinoba up the inside, moves into second as the Haas, and the former race winner from Miami now moves into second place, and now he is 1.5 away from Gillen, but can he get closer?
Well, I think that was actually very smart from Lolly there, using the pace he's got, using the DRS as well to continue to close that gap to Alex Gillen. Like you said, down to 1.3 seconds now, 1.2. I think that RB has been brought back to that chasing peloton, and Alex Gillen's brief stint as the runaway leader is going to end in a matter of corners. Using the medium tyres, maybe the softs have already started to degrade past the mediums. That would be very bad news indeed for the likes of GB68, who wanted to use them to get some track position, but is still down in 6th at the moment. Second time penalty of the race. Blue Fox in 16th, picking up 3 seconds.
Yeah, painful entry into the Creator Series for Blue Fox as he gets penalised for some errors out on circuit. But lap 21 of 56, and it's Alex Gillen started in front, but Lolinoba has broken to within DRS now. Of course, that was very much a distant memory, DRS, for the lead of the race before, because Gillen had prior nestled in 2.5 seconds upon everybody else, but that has since shrunk. It's flitted back out to a second, but it might not be there for long as we watch a battle unfold between Tom in Fratic, who's right in the wheel tracks, and Scott Taylor as well on Ricky 03. As they now sprint down through towards turn 14. Ricky 03 definitely paying the price after his decision to stay out and not taking the pit stop under the safety car. He has now dropped as low as 13th. And might be ruining the day he made that decision as we now watch Tom come through turn 16. And Fratic still hot on his heels as they now look to peel away up through towards turn 1. Tom definitely looks more at home with that setup now here, Tom.
He does, but he has got 5 seconds now to try and catch up to the group in front. I tell you who was one of the big losers of the safety car, Meraki, down in 13th. He was 16th, going for the strategy of trying to get as much fuel back as possible, but with that safety car, almost equalised everybody off, and that's effectively his net position now, 13th, rather than having a little bit of a fuel advantage so he could gun it and try and get some places back. That's going to leave the Season 4 champion in a very sticky situation with a lot of work to do in the second half of this race.
Yep, 7 laps accrued on Gillen's tyres, and now Lolinoba is all over his rear wing. Of course, it didn't take long for that second gap to be brought down, and now for sure DRS is going to be available here for Lolinoba as they now look to head up through towards turns 11 and turns 12. We approximately thinking around about 7 laps time, maybe even less than that, maybe even in about 5 laps. We could see Alex Gillen considering a pit stop. Keep your eyes peeled on lap 28, everybody, to see whether he does decide to do it. Lolinoba now starting to urge ever closer. The front wing on the Haas now getting closer to the rear of the RB, and now fans outwards and makes the move for the lead and moves past swiftly by Alex Gillen on the run in towards turn 14. So it's now Lolinoba at the lead of the race, who's carrying the immense speed that he does have and possess. The Italian now on the move as he looks to rise around turn 16 to begin lap 23 of 56. Still a little bit behind the halfway point just yet. And is that spray, is that water we're seeing on track there?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that was just the dust from the very inside of the track. If it has rained very, very quickly, that's going to make things even more exciting. Maybe not for the fuel battle. Yes.
I mean, we are expecting it. It just took me by surprise a little bit at that inside. But yes, you might be absolutely right. Dust appearing from the inside of the pit lane as we now watch them go wheel to wheel again. Tiamat Marduk not quite able to get alongside Alex Gillen. I think at this moment in time, Tiamat Marduk doesn't want to allow Lolinoba to get away here at this point.
No, because it's going to be a different situation to what Alex Gillen had. He's now on the worst tyres and is comfortably slower than this group. Lolinoba looks full of confidence, full of beans. If he can get that gap over 1 second, which is looking increasingly likely, he's going to have a potential free shot at taking a second Creator Series victory. The gap is now over 1 second. The DRS for Tiamat Marduk might just pull the Haas back in check as he overtakes the RB of Alex Gillen. But alarm bell's going to start to be ringing for the likes of Ben and Kareem sat just in behind. They do not want this Haas to scamper off.
No, they certainly don't. Tiamat Marduk certainly won't want to because he's on the same strat as what Lolinoba is as they now fly down the long straight once more. Lolinoba breaking well and truly out to the aero. Alex Gillen not giving Benjamin Daly an inch here. But now he is allowed through, heading down through towards turn 14. Gillen doesn't want to sacrifice too much time through battling. He needs, ideally, Tiamat Marduk to give him a tow to at least lengthen the usefulness of these soft tyres. Doesn't want to leave them short at all. But at this point, Lolinoba has managed to cruise onwards. 1.4 seconds out in front as we now see the dust once again lift from the surface of the circuit up into the air. Like we said before, we're still awaiting for rain to come down, and we could yet see it in the next few laps or so, judging from what we heard from the Karim radio. As we now watch them come out of turn 3 through towards turn 4 now this time. It's Lolinoba now 1.6 in the clear. That's another 2/10 he has planted since they crossed the line.
I'm interested now thinking about Alex Gillen's strategy. If this rain doesn't come in the next sort of 5 or 6 laps, he could be a little bit stuffed on those soft tyres. If they continue to go off as dramatically as they have done in the past few laps, he could find himself in a really difficult situation. Almost, do I pit for another set of tyres or do I hang on, maybe risk getting a puncture and wait for those intermediates to become applicable? 1.8 seconds the gap. Lolinoba is just taking time out of the group behind. Benjamin Daly in the Mercedes car is trying to charge after him, but at the moment hasn't really got an answer for the Italian stallion.
Yeah, and at the moment, Gillen has still got over a lap of fuel under where he needs to be. So really, really suffering out there at the moment. So Gillen with a lot of work to do as we now watch them fly down this long straight through towards turn 14 once more. Just look, that gap still now lengthening. Lolinoba 1.8 as now once more we see some battling between Alex Gillen and Formula Karim this time. This is a battle over third place. Gillen not taking this lying down whatsoever, and Formula Kai has been battling it out with Rasin Chai as well. Karim now moving up into third. Tucks in behind fellow championship contender Tim Marek as the McLaren and the Mercedes meet again out on this Chinese circuit now as they move up through towards turn 1. Karim just matching him at every turn as they rise up now uphill as they take the elevation change leading through towards turns 2 and turn 3 and now downhill once again, and we are hearing that there is going to be rain in the next few minutes. We could see it very soon.
Oh, and that almost tells you that Formula Kai's strategy of going medium was actually the optimal one to go for. So a little bit of a strategic error there for Alex Gill. If he was on the medium tyres, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have still been leading this race, and Lolinoba wouldn't have been able to scamper off into the distance. But of course, hindsight is a wonderful thing. Formula Kai not particularly close to Alex Gill though here, so just needs to try and keep that RB in check, because you would imagine Tim McMurdoch and Formula Karim on those better medium tyres are going to be able to drop Alex Gillen very, very shortly.
I'd imagine so. Obviously, Tim Marek can break the 200 points duct here at the end of this race. He currently sits on 185. Anything, of course, to enhance his championship prospects. 3 championships could be on the cards should he start to string together a decent return on these next remaining races that we have to take us through to the end of the season, and the end, of course, of F1 24, with the impending release of F1 25 to be announced as well very soon, as Formula Karim around the outside coming through towards turn 14, moves into second, now 2.1. Lolinoba given yet more freedom as it now fans out to 2.2, but Karim now into second place. It's now on him to try and close the gap to Lolinoba. Ideally, as far as they're concerned, they should probably work together to try and stop this Italian from getting away.
Good exhibition of the pace that Lolly has got in his back pocket, though, even with the DRS sharing. That Formula Karim and Tim Martin, they haven't been that inefficient with their DRS sharing, it has to be said. Still, that gap's stable at hovering just over 2 seconds. So excellent job at the moment for Lolinoba. We're now going to see what Formula Karim can try and pull off, taking a couple of tenths out of the Haas through the snail section. He is the fastest driver outright around this circuit in the field. If Lolinoba can fend off this assault from Formula Karim to try and get back into the 1 second window, he'll be feeling extremely good about himself.
Yeah, we're hearing 5 minutes until rainfall. See, radio here from Iraqi. What alternate reality is this where I work with Fabio? Goodness me, it doesn't happen very often. Of course, you generally don't see them in cahoots together. But Meraki, I think, obviously in a position where he has no choice and they have to work together. It's going to be very interesting to see how this strategy unfolds, because if it's indeed 5 minutes when we see this all occur, where the rain might yet fall from the sky, I'd imagine we're probably looking at around lap 29 maybe, lap 28, 29, for essentially a potential change onto intermediate tyres. And it does look very overcast out there.
It does. We also need to factor in how quickly the rain will fall and how quickly the track will wet itself, as Formula Karim and Tim McMurdoch are going to trade places in second and third. Formula Kai up into fourth as well, relegating Alex Gillen a further spot into fifth as those soft tyres really start to struggle. I'm not sure if you caught it there, but Alex Gillen drifting his way. He was perfectly sideways at the apex of turn 14, locking the rears, I suspect, in his attempts to try and cling onto the coattails of Formula Kai, but was unsuccessful. And running off the circuit there, I think he may have just about avoided a warning. Purple final sector for Formula Kai as he made that overtake work. Tom picks up a 3-second penalty down in 13th. Not been ideal for him at all. Going back to Meraki, though, it's just not worked out for him, has it, the Season 4 champion? He's 12 seconds now off this leading group. If we don't see another safety car, that is one of the championship contenders left with a little bit of egg on their face.
Yeah, definitely, and he's fourth in the championship coming into this one too, and can't afford really for Alex Gillen to get away because, of course, Gillen level points with Meraki coming into this round, and as it stands, Gillen will advance his points tally well ahead of Meraki's should he bring it home in good stead. Of course, still a long way to go before the end, and naturally we have heard that Gillen is struggling with fuel at the moment. Of course, when we last checked, he was over a lap down on fuel, which means he's going to have to put in a huge shift to try and bring that back in. Now, Teammate Marduk has done some work here to close up to the back of Lolinova. It's now 2 seconds. Remember, it was beyond that not too long ago, and that's both Karim and Teammate Marduk putting that work in to try and reduce that deficit as they now come around the very, very progressive turn 13 that puts a lot of load onto the tyres. Obviously, degradation is an issue around this Chinese circuit. We have seen how much it affects the soft tyres, as now Karim looks to the outside to try and brush past Teammate Marduk and does move into that second place spot, and now breaking to within 2 seconds of Lolinova. So the DRS starting to work, 1.8 between Lolinova's Haas and Karim's McLaren as they now race around turn 16, and now the rain starts to fall. The rain is here at China as they now enter lap 28 to 56. It now becomes a game of chess. Who blinks first as the droplets fall here in Shanghai?
Oh, the streaks on the halo, the famous streaks on the halo appearing for the very first time, exactly 50% of the way into this Chinese Grand Prix. Matty D13 has jumped into the pits. If that's for intermediates, he's gone very bold to try and get those on as quickly as possible. F1 Alex also already on the inters, down in 18th and last position at the moment. Lolinova's going to be in a little bit of a difficult situation. He's effectively the guinea pig out of everyone in the leading group. If we don't get the notification that DRS has been disabled, it's down to the drivers to try and use their feel, their touch, their experience to know when to get onto those inters. And Alex Gillen really struggling, got literally no grip left on his soft compound tyres as GB boxing next lap. Interesting stuff there. He's now 2 seconds off the back of Razin now, Alex Gillen.
Making that immediate jump, and surely that will be onto a set of intermediate tyres. Now the big question is, does he go alone or will everyone else follow suit? This is going to be a very, very curious set of circumstances that we have in front of us here on lap 28 to 56. Lolinova has seen his gap been eaten away by Formula Karim. Now it's 1.5 seconds, and it will surely close because Teammate Marduk will use the power of DRS to urge himself past Karim and in the process close up on Lolinova for the race lead advantage as they now come down through towards turn 14. Now, do they come into box? That is also a major question. Or do they feel they've got enough delta on their slick tyres? All eyes on Lolinova. Does he come into the pits? No, he opts to stay out. He's going to remain on this circuit. GB currently, should he carry out the plan that he did usher over the radio, he'll be the only one to come in and pit, but no, he's staying out. He sold a dummy. He's not coming in, and Nick Flies is battling with Alex Gillen over that 6th place. Those soft tyres have gone, but in comes Meraki. He's decided to jump.
First real runner to make a blink as the rain starts to come down. We aren't really seeing any splashes on the circuit, and it's still spitting very, very lightly. The time's not too bad at the moment either, and everybody actually following Meraki in, so maybe a call lower down the field, and everybody thinking exactly the same thing. Infratic into the pits, along with Scott Taylor, who's done a decent job to recover from his escapades, let's say, in the opening couple of laps. The Season 4 champ, one of the most experienced in the Creator Series, is going to be a very good guide to tell us how wet it actually is.
Certainly is a very good guide to give us that indicator. Of course, comes here after 9 wins taken in his career. Team radio from Alex Gillen, box. He is going to be coming in this lap to respond immediately, and he has to, doesn't he, folks? Remember, on those soft tyres, they've got to feel terrible in these wet conditions, not to mention the amount of wear they've sustained out on track already, and has fallen from grace, certainly after being in P1 for such a long time since the safety car came to an end, and now sees himself in 7th place, and Nick Flies has overtaken him, and Gillen's almost outside of a whole second right now, and just as I say that, he has gone out by a whole second, so no time like the present for Alex Gillen to jump onto a set of intermediate tyres as now Teammate Marduk launches himself up the inside of Karim, who now doubles back and makes the move in return, but the rear steps out. He was very lucky to keep hold of that one. Now, does Lolinova respond and come into the pits? Yes, he does. Race leader Lolinova in the box, and so does Karim and Teammate Marduk. Now, all eyes on Meraki. Just how much time will he gain under this pit stop phase?
Well, Kareem Lucky almost did a Lewis Hamilton from 2007, pitching it into the barrier. Nick Flies hung out to dry a little bit, had to stay out on those medium tyres, courtesy of his teammate jumping down pit road. We're looking for the Red Bull of Meraki, circulating nicely, taking a little bit of time out of Matty D13, who is the lead runner on the intermediates, pitted very early on. Those tyres might be a little bit worn. Lolinoba exiting pit road with Formula Cream in hot pursuit, and Meraki not even in the same postcode. Hasn't even started lap 29 yet.
No, not at all. As there they exit the pit lane. Nick Fly still out in front. Remember, still hasn't boxed. DRS is being disabled now. So ideal timing to all those that boxed just now onto the fresh intermediate tyres. Lolinoba, essentially your net race leader as it stands, but he's got Formula Karim, Formula Kai, Tim Etmarduk for company. They're all on intermediates, bar Nick Flies at the moment, up at the very top. And all those from P2 down to P8 have just completed their stop onto those inter tyres as we now watch them race around on lap 30 of 56. We are beyond the halfway point now by 4 laps or so, and it's all on Nick Flies. But of course that deficit is certainly not enough. 11.3 will not sustain him the race lead, and we're seeing that delta fall on these intermediate tyres. It is definitely intermediate tyre conditions now, and Lolinoba consolidating that net P1 position with Formula Karim, who's snapping away, trying to stay within that 1 second gap. But DRS is now no longer active.
And Tim Etmarduk has not had a very good pit window either. He's right underneath the rear wing of Formula Cream, but now behind Formula Kai, and nearly 2.5 seconds off the back of the Papaya McLaren car, with Razin Chai equally close behind the Mercedes, so leaving himself some work to do. Oh, Nick Flies, be careful there. Nearly did what his teammate did, and nearly did what the other McLaren of Lewis Hamilton did. How many years ago was that? 18 years ago. My maths failing me a little bit there. Formula Cream reporting just 10 minutes of rain, so we could be back on the slick tyres later on in the Grand Prix. How are Lolinoba and Formula Cream going to play this one, though? Remember back to Miami, it was those two exclusively fighting out in front. Bit of a wobble again for Lolly going through turns 1 and 2. It's going to be deja vu from a few weeks ago. On that occasion, we had quite a dramatic finish. We could be in line for something similar.
I think we will be. Tim Etmarduk hopping back past Formula Kai now as well. Obviously, Tim Etmarduk forfeiting places under the pit stop, and a safety car, I think, has come out as well. Full course yellow, and it looks like F1 Alex has lost it. He's retired. A safety car has been brought out on track. We're getting a late notification of that here on our game feed, but it's a safety car here on lap 31, and there it is out on circuit. Bernd Mailander re-entering the circuit. So Lolinoba will have to come down to Delta, with Formula Karim now closing up to the back of it. It will allow the rest of the pack to catch up with the rest of the cars out on circuit. Everyone, I would say, on the same lap right now. Black Mirror, of course, boxing earlier on onto his set of intermediate tyres, a lap before all those that are out of the top 7, and a drive-through penalty for GB after speeding under the safety car. That is something he does not want to see.
Well, he's had an uncharacteristically quiet race so far as GB, and now going from bad to worse. Made the wrong strategy call, putting the soft tyres on again, paid the price for that, and now will be having to take an extra trip through the pits, and that will drop him down into last when the safety car comes in. Not good news at all. F1 Alex dropping it there, I think, coming out of turn 13. Kicksauber needs to go from bad to worse for him. Hasn't got too many points on the board. Tim Etmarduk actually managed to get ahead of Formula Kai just as the safety car was called out, so it's effectively a net zero loss now for Ben, because he gets brought back up towards Lolly and Kareem in front. Also brings Alex Gillen, Nick Flies and Meraki back into the game as well.
Yeah, disappointment for F1 Alex there, down in 18th. Will, of course, register as a retirement here at China. Lolinoba takes the leaders around through towards turn 16 to bring an end to lap 31 and start lap 32. Again, another opportunity, especially for Alex Gillen, with that lack of fuel, to save whatever's left or whatever he can to give himself a chance for the remainder of this race. Obviously, at the same time, they don't want to give themselves too heavy a fuel load, because they don't want the weight of the car to be too high, so therefore to lose a lot of pace out on track. In the meantime, we can cross over and have a little chinwag with TK and see what he's up to. TK, what's new?
Well, it's an interesting one to try and keep an eye on. F1 Alex, as I was about to send a team radio in, forgot to brake as he headed into turn 11. I wanted to bring your attention, though, whilst I have it, across to the incident that saw Safso face an unfortunate disqualification. He was just heading through, trying to lap himself, unlap the car, did pass the safety car, trying to make sure it was going through. Got himself back behind the safety car, and alas, well, game said no.
Wow. different there for Safso. I can imagine he's probably feeling quite a bit frustrated. The aviators are already off, so that's an indicator of how far his patience has run out. Definitely, Tom, thank you so much for that. Obviously, we'll come back to you, I think, later on and find out a little bit more. But as you can see, the car's now forming up behind the safety car. Big thank you to each and every single one of you for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. We've had some teething troubles here tonight. Obviously, we were due to broadcast live, not only out on Twitch, but also YouTube as usual, and of course for the first time on TikTok. But Restream, I think, has given us quite a lot of grief here this evening and has given a much undeserved headache to poor Gareth Allen behind the scene, who's been trying to rectify it. But we're pleased to say that we are live nonetheless here on Twitch, and we do appreciate every single one of you. So make sure you land your support and let us know as well who you think is going to win this race. Follow button down below. Make sure you check that out and check out the social medias at F1 Creator Series as well, and join the Discord too, to stay up to date with everything around the Creator Series. But we can settle things down now a bit, Tom, sort of digest what's gone on. Some strategy errors here and there. We saw Ricky make a little bit of a blunder by staying out on his tyres probably a little longer than he should have done. Probably should have boxed under the safety car that we first had. And now with the weather changes, obviously GB now suffering a penalty under the safety car. And we also witnessed some interesting moments again from other drivers, such as, well, I mean, we witnessed Nick Flies go long on his set of slick tyres, which didn't work out, and he has since dropped down to P8. I don't think he's really lost all that much, though.
No, and he's going to get the position he did lose back, obviously, with GB taking that drive-through penalty when the safety car comes in. Also, almost eliminates the little bit of jeopardy we had left with the wild card. Of course, everybody, you would imagine, will be positive on fuel come the end of this safety car period, and to go in tandem with the rain, where they are going to be short-shifting a little bit more, being a little bit more careful on the loud pedal. I don't think fuel is going to be a concern for anybody else when we get to lap 56.
No, don't think so at all. Running on board with Meraki at this moment in time in the Red Bull. Of course, his teammate Mr. Dale retiring earlier on prior to the rain coming out and the intermediate tyres then being put onto the cars. But you'll have a great chance now as he gets closer and closer behind Cutter Lucas. And bear in mind, he's got a string of cars there in Matty D13 and Scott Taylor and Cutter Lucas that have already applied more wear than he has onto the car. And you can also factor in Nick Flies and GB as well, not forgetting GB has got to serve a drive-through. This is a huge chance for Meraki to really make some serious places here.
Yeah, and he's got the championship effectively on the line as well. Could drop to maybe even above 50 points off the summit, with Tim McMarlick in third, Formula Cream in second. Alex Gillen, we expect, will make up a couple of places as well between now and the end of the race. Currently running sixth, not a bad haul of points for the RB either. So this could be championship over for Meraki if he doesn't get a shift on in the remaining 23 laps of our Chinese Grand Prix. Things haven't gone right for him so far. He's been given a lifeline, an opportunity to try and recuperate some places that he lost early on.
And really damaging for GB as well here at this point with the drive-through penalty as well, Tom, because of course he sits in third place on 154. He's only 4 points ahead of Meraki in the championship. And bear in mind, at the same time, 16 points away from Formula Karim in second place. This could be also, I would say, is the championship over for GB?
Well, that's the Nico Rosberg meme, isn't it? Is it over for him? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we'll be last when the safety car comes in. He might try and extend it out a little bit, go for 3 laps, or he might also go for the track position, get himself some lovely clear air to try and drive into. Has the rain started to subside, though? I can't really see if it's spitting. No, it is. Just very, very fine rain. We heard the call that Kareem said that the rain was going to stop later on in the race. Safety car is in this lap. A lot on the line. It's Lodenoba versus Formula Cream, as it was a few weeks ago in Miami. But Tim McMarlick, you would imagine the championship leader and reigning champion will have something strong to say about this.
Yeah, all advantages have been removed. Lolinoba will be effectively the safety car ahead of this restart that we have here at China. He has got Formula Cream behind him. A 10-second time penalty for Matty D13 after a serious collision with Nick Flies. That's going to be very damaging for his race as well and open up more doors for other drivers further back. But now as Lolinoba puts his foot to the floor, rounds the final corner once more and puts pedal to the metal for the third time in this race now as they hustle down the long straight through towards turn 1. Lolinoba with enough of a gap in behind him is Formula Karim, and now further back as well Tim McMarlick in third place. They're going to try and gain as well. He's 4.5 tenths away from Karim in second place. They come through out of turn 1, turn 2 and towards turn 3 and eventually turn 4 as well. Ricky 03 has pounced on Blue Fox. Those two are battling over P16 right now as Rasin Chai thunders all over the back of Formula Karim as well. But as they fan out through down towards turn 6 out of turn 5, it's Lolinoba consolidating that race lead, but Karim is going to give him some serious company as they make their way through sector 2.
He is under some significant pressure, and this is where you start to see how A, confident drivers are in their own car, and B, how skilled they are naturally. These cold tyres, diabolical. Of course, the pausing thing that you could do where that would warm your tyres up using the AI, that is no longer a thing in the game, and it would have been very, very difficult indeed for drivers to try and get some heat into these intermediates. A lot of them sliding around very slippery on this opening lap. Kareem and Tim about it, keeping London Over in check, who we have to say as well is a very decent wet weather driver.
Yeah, Benjamin Daly now creeping through towards turn 12. Obviously, like you so rightly say, Tom, it isn't ideal. You can't pause anymore. It used to be a thing where you could obviously utilise it and the tyres would stay relatively warm, but here in the wet conditions, it's all down to you. And again, like you so rightly said, while the rain is on the surface, so tricky with very little track temperature to transfer that heat into the compounded tyre. So it does leave the drivers facing a furious task of trying to heat it up themselves manually, as we now watch as Razin makes his way out of turn 14, I should say, coming through towards turn 15 and now turn 16. Now rounding this final corner at 16 to cross the line and start their lap 34 of 56. GB now dropping down as he takes his drive-through penalty. So this is the penalty he sustained just under the safety car, and will now have to make his way through the pit lane, and this will firmly place him to the back of the field. A real disadvantage and an unfortunate moment that could cost him his entire championship here in the Creator Series.
Well, we're now going to see how strong the steel that GB68 is made of. If he can try and get anything, salvage this race, it's damage limitation at this point. If he recovers nicely, say we get another safety car later on, I think it'll be job well done for GB, considering the circumstances and considering as well he hasn't quite had the pace of the leading contenders. Battles going on in the midfield as Cutter Lucas gets pushed down into 12th by Infratic. Meraki made up a couple of places also, now inside the top 10 for the first time since lap number 1, in quite the absence for the Season 4 champion. It's still very much in contention, although Matadi with that 3.2 second gap to Alex Gillen means it's going to be more hard work for Meraki to try and get a decent result. Tom bogged down in midfield mayhem. Cutter Lucas struggling to get some traction down with those rear tyres all over the place, and this could be an opportunity for the Alpine to recover again. Some lost time, has a little look up the inside, braver on the brakes is Tom. Cutter Lucas going to swing it around the outside, try and hold on to this position. Already lost one to Infratic, and for the moment at least does hold firm, although slipping slightly wide, and that is a free invitation for the Season 3 champ. The red carpet very much rolled out.
Yeah, he didn't need telling twice, did he, Tom? Moved up the inside and up into 12th place now. Is Tom in the Alpine as they now sprint downhill towards turn 14 once again. Out of the apex at the hairpin, it is Formula Karim now out in front ahead of Lolinoba. So Karim now has managed to finally remove that lead spot away from the Haas. Tiamat Marduk also looking for an opportunity of his own as the rain continues to fall here in Shanghai. It's a Shanghai soak out here at China as they now swiftly rise uphill yet again here through turn 1 and turn 2. Very shortly, Formula Kai following them as well. Radio from Scott Taylor, I just don't have the confidence at the moment. And you can understand his feelings, certainly, given the fact that this rain is causing such an immense complication. And Fabio Infratic looking to take full advantage of that as they come around out of turn 3 and turn 4. And he's met with Tom up his inside as well. The Alpine, who's already gained a place past Cutter Lucas, looking to do the same on Infratic. Could not quite find the angle. But now, once again, Fabio looking up the inside of Scott Taylor's Haas. The two Ferrari-powered cars met together, coming out of turn 4 through towards turn 5 and out of turn 6. And now it's Scott Taylor who once again defends, and Fabio releasing the throttle ever so slightly nearly has Tom enter his rear diffuser.
Yeah, you can see Scott Taylor really struggling, grappling for grip as he locks the rears again, this time into turn number 9 and leaks more time to the Ferrari behind and the Red Bull in front. Again, sideways, those rear tyres not getting very good treatment. We do need to remember, though, of course, he is on new equipment and being thrown very much in the deep end in this wet weather scenario. He's not quite sinking just yet, but if things do begin to unravel for the Haas driver, the Scotsman that we all love and adore, of course, then yeah, it could get very messy very, very quickly as Tom, as he did to Cutter Lucas a couple of laps ago, up the inside in Infratic through 13.
Scott Taylor responsible for some of the many incredible music race reviews that we have seen in the past as well on social media. Nick Flies moving up into 7th ahead of Matty D13. Up the inside comes Tom, though, who's already managed to dispossess Fabio. He's going to try and do the same to Scott Taylor, who has a wiggle coming out of turn 14, around turn 15 and 16. It will set sail for Tom's Alpine as he moves up into 10th, as he now looks to hunt down after Meraki, who has since moved up now into this top 10 fight and into the top 9, hunting down after Matty D13 through turn 1 and turn 2. And Matty has run very wide indeed, and taking full advantage is Meraki, who loses the steering just a little bit, having to find the grip, has indeed found it, and now sits in 8th.
Not good news for Matty. He already got that 10-second penalty looming over his head, courtesy of the collision under the safety car. Scott Taylor losing another place, now down into 13th behind Ricky 03. That's a hat-trick of positions lost in not a very long period of time. Formula Cream starting to open a gap a little bit between himself and Lolino. It's the largest that it has been so far, although not a particularly good run there through turn number 8, hovering around 7 or 8 tenths per second. Here is the Season 4 champ on the radio, who made him panic there. Fantastic job. The racecraft is still very much there for Meraki, even if the points that he's going to get in this race might not be.
No, that's true, but still got plenty of race left in order to do something. 19 laps to go here in this Creator Series race, as they now... You know, still in the background there, I think Tom just having a little moment in his car, just the tail starting to whip out. A few other drivers, I think, starting to suffer this. Bear in mind, Tom's going to be feeling every inch of this in his brand new motion rig. I do have to wonder how it's going to transpose from the dampness on track into the behaviour that his rig is sort of showing. Obviously, he's going to be feeling a lot under himself right now, but we'll soon see how he can convert that. Meraki now moving up into 7th as Nick Flies drops down through to 8th. And you do wonder whether that little bit of extra feeling, Tom, is going to help that Alpine.
Yeah, going to be a bit of a strenuous workout, but like you said, that extra bit of confidence, that purchase that he gets from being in a fully fledged sim rig might give him a little bit of an advantage. And if you remember, on his return, it was wet in the sprint in the the first race of the doubleheader in Miami, and he was incredibly competitive. So yeah, obviously comfortable in the conditions and in the environment that he's in.
Yeah, see, it's the rain still falling here at Shanghai as we now watch them come through the first corners once more here on Sector 1. Now down through turn 3 and turn 4 as they now look to sprint around in towards Sector 2 very shortly, and Sector 2 will come alive just after turn 5 as they take that little kink in the course before they reach turn 6 at the hairpin. Right on board now with Tom as he now sprints down through towards the very tricky right-hander. Now on a hairpin bend here as they look to double backwards and then venture towards turn 7 where they'll swoop around again, the load placed on the right-hand side of the car. And we did hear ushers that the track would be drying up a little bit later and the rain might stop. And I have to say, that rain is looking like it's petering out just a little bit, Tom.
Well, I would potentially go a little bit further and say it has stopped. The sign is usually the streaks on the halo, and there are none at the moment. Big moment for Lolinoba over the curbs through 11 and 12. That might just give Tim McMurdoch the boost and the sniff that he needs, but not a particularly good run for himself through 13, struggling to get the power down, and that will leave Lolinoba comfortable in second for the time being. Formula Kai holding station, doing a decent job in 4th at the moment with Razin Chai and Alex Gillen sat just underneath the rear wing of that Kick Sauber. And now we're getting to the point where people will be assessing these conditions. When do we go back to dry? Sometimes it can be a very, very quick transition, but sometimes, as we saw in Australia a week ago, it can take an absolute age for the track condition to change.
And the indicator, obviously, generally, is when race control reactivate the DRS. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that and let you know, folks. Obviously, it will appear on our HUD or on our HUD at some point. GB68 with the radio. I bet there's no SC now. I'd put money on it. Obviously, he believes that his race could be well and truly done. Well, if we enter another pit stop phase, which we will do under the not under the safety car, but under the changeable conditions, as Tom now holds that P9 spot away from Matty D13, it could yet offer a saving grace here for GB. Maybe try something a little different. Enter onto the slick tyres sooner than anybody else. That might save you just a little bit. He's only 4.7 away from Blackmere. That gap should be closed up fairly quickly. But regardless, it's been a very tough day for Aston Martin.
100%. His pace in clear air looks pretty decent. Like you said, he's managed to halve the gap between himself and his teammates since he came out of the pits, as Tim McMurdoch gets a little bit of a wobble going through turn number 8. But yeah, he's going to have to steal a march somehow on this group in front of him to try and bag some points. First of all, he should do that with the penalties lingering over the heads of the 3 drivers in front. We're hearing from TK in Clipper Corner that he's going to be boxing this up, and the Inters are starting to overheat. Might that be the springboard for everybody else to dive into the pits? Lolinoba clearly struggling, losing tenths of a second every single corner to Formula Cream as it extends out to nearly 2 seconds between first and second place. And this could be Tim McMurdoch smelling a chance to get back up ahead of the Haas.
I'd imagine we'll probably see various cars coming in on this next lap as well. Formula Cream, in the meantime, has managed to coast clear by around 1.6, but here comes Tim McMurdoch now at the inside, this time of Lolinoba coming out of turn 14 now, and has consolidated that second place. Now, do they come in? That's the big question. Karim is staying out. So is Tiamat Marduk. Does anyone respond? In comes a kick sabber of Formula Kai. Rasin Chai doing the same as well. DRS now enabled. They've timed it badly. Have the front runners. We're watching them come around turn 1. That's a very big mistake, I think, from Karim, Tiamat Marduk and Lolinoba and Alex Gillen. The rest of the field coming into the pits just as the DRS becomes active again.
And Alex Gillen, big time. He had the opportunity. He followed Kai and Razin, saw them go into the pits and decided, you know what, I'm going to stay out. And I wonder if that was the incorrect decision to make. Soft tyres going on the Sauber of Formula Kai. Interesting, we saw that they weren't a particularly good race tyre for the first 75% of this race. Whether that's going to be different as the fuel has burnt off and the track is not quite at its grippiest, we'll have to wait and see. And he is the outlier. Everybody else favouring the yellow stripe mediums, which they will of course be able to take to the end of the race. Cutter Lucas has been caught short a little bit, unfortunately for himself, putting on the U set of mediums that he used up earlier in the race. 15 laps on those.
Yeah, bear in mind, from what we saw in the initial stages of the race at the very start, we saw the softs perhaps do around 10 laps to 12 laps before they eventually burnt off. And at this point, there's going to be very little rubber out on the circuit. It's a cold track. So those tyres are going to take a while to get up to the correct temperature. They're not going to be at optimal. They're going to degrade faster. And those on mediums, I think, are going to have that advantage. I think Formula Kai might have done himself a disservice here. We're going to wait and see now as the cars make their way down through towards turn 14. Is there any way possible that Karim, Lolinoba, Tiamat Marduk, Alex Gillen can retain their places up at the very top? They've got to get rid of those intermediates. They've got to come off now. And into the pits comes Formula Karim. Lolinoba as well coming into the pits surely as well, as does Tiamat Marduk, Alex Gillen. Not to mention Blackmere has surely got to follow them in. He's going to plant himself right to the rear of the field. No doubt about that. But all eyes on Formula Kai, who's rounding turn 14 and will surely make his way through towards that final corner at turn 16. Formula Karim's been held as they now come through the final corner this time. Let's see where Kai comes out in all this as they hustle down towards the long straight. There's Karim, there is the queue. Tiamat Marduk, Formula Kai has pounced them all and moved into second place. A stop too late for Tiamat Marduk and Lolinoba. Alex Gillen, they have lost, they forfeited podium track position.
Well, and now Formula Karim 2 seconds over the group behind. He has been gift-wrapped this race on one of his favourite circuits. Massive opportunity to take a fairly decent chunk out of Tiamat Marduk's championship lead with the reigning champion and leader. Currently 4th at the moment, losing out to Razin Chai as well, who is not going to be very easy to pass. Formula Kai is going to scamper off for the moment on those soft tyres, but remember what happened to Alex Gillen in the middle stint of this race. Managed to pull out 2 seconds on everybody else and then got reeled back in very, very quickly. Kai on softs is crazy. Karim might have Kai to deal with in a couple of laps' time, but surely that kick Sauber is going to drop off eventually.
I think Karim sees it the same way as we do, I think. Obviously, the softs will fall off. It's a very high-deck track here at China. They will be stripped away of all their grip levels as we watch as Rasin Chai has entered himself into the fold. Of course, has had his struggles throughout the course of this race, has been right in amongst the scraps, but now sees himself potentially on the precipice of perhaps winning this race. Of course, may have a lap, should we say, more wear than Karim, as we now watch Tom swiftly move up the inside of Infratic as they battle over 8th place. Nick Flies just behind him as well, and Tom managing to consolidate that move coming out of turn 13 and down through towards turn 14 they will go. The question is, will Fabio instantly reply or wait until the DRS heading down the long straight opens up so he can then challenge Rasin Chai, ushering in a fastest lap, and he has to. He has to close the gap between himself, or at least get past Formula Kai, utilising for a toe even perhaps to try and close up to the back of Formula Karim, and therefore this race will be on. But he has got a queue behind. Tiamat Marduk still in this, as is Lolinoba, as is Alex Gillen. They may have made a mistake during the pit stop phase of going a lap later, but they are still very much in this race.
You would like to think so, wouldn't you, with 15 to go? Formula Kai hasn't really made the impression I thought he was going to on those brand new soft tyres. Obviously got the track position, but ever since then, that attack has stalled out a little bit, and Rasin Chai, at least on the previous turn, was able to cling on to the DRS of the kick Sauber, which will be crucial for that group of 4 behind Tiamat Marduk, Lolinoba and Alex Gillen. 4 champions separated by 2 seconds from 3rd down into 6th. 3 champions, sorry. Lolinoba, maybe a future champion. We will have to wait and see.
Yeah, 1.6, and it's not moved a muscle. Karim has done enough to keep this gap fairly samey for quite some time, and Kai is trying to break DRS on Chai, which he might have done so. We'll have to wait and see whether it was done prior to crossing the timing line. Let's wait and see. But no, it hasn't. Rasin Chai will get DRS, so that's frustrating then for Formula Kai. We've got movement further back as Lolin Ober meets TMM Marduk coming down through towards turn 14. They're going to scrap over P4, thundering through towards the final few corners here on lap 42. There goes Karim flying through the final bend at turn 16. He is now 2 seconds to the good, and Formula Kai in second sees his fastest lap stripped away, but they are getting faster further back. Here comes Rasin Chai, needs to get this move one and done, and smoothly past. He goes past Formula Kai and up into second. Rasin Chai on the medium tyres needs to start making waves and cutting in to that 2.2 second deficit, because they can't afford to allow Karim to get away.
Have to get their skates on here. The alarm bells, the red lights will be flashing at the home of Mercedes, Alpine, Haas and RB, with Formula Kai really struggling. Those soft tyres, I think we can now establish, are absolutely useless. Useless tyre, and Formula Kai making a strategical blunder there, and that's probably going to cost him not just a podium but potentially a top 5 finish in this race as well. And it is going to be a straight fight at the moment between Karim and Rasin Chai. 2.2 seconds the margin. Tim Moddett, Lolin Ober and Alex Gillen going to have to get past the Sauber ASAP if they're going to have any chance of reeling in the runaway McLaren.
Well, Rasin Chai has 8 wins to his name in the history of Creator Series, 19 podiums, 64 top 10s, 15 poles. Has got one of the most sensational records, should we say, that we have seen in the Creator Series in itself, as we now watch them sprint down the long straight once more. And TMM Marduk this time is going to try and certainly alleviate Formula Kai of his P3 position as they now fly down through towards turn 14. Formula Kai just squeezing him slightly, pushing him to the inside just a little bit. Kai trying to force the issue as they try and make their way out of turn 14. They nip and tuck, heading through out of turn 15, through turn 16. It's TMM Marduk. The Aussie moves into third now and looks to hunt down after Rasin Chai as the three of them at the very top. Karim, Chai and TMM Marduk now hustle through towards turn 1. Karim in the distance. Back comes Kai around the outside on the soft tyres again, but can't quite find the avenue. He needs to be alongside coming in towards turn 3 and knows it. Turn 4 coming up after this one. And just look who's on the outside of him. It's Lolin Ober on the medium tyres as well, on the same strategy as Rasin Chai and TMM Marduk, and looking to flex away through towards P4 as they hustle down through towards turn 6. The Haas go in late on the brakes to try and brush past the kick Sauber, and the Haas certainly does. A brilliant display of tenacity from young Lolin Ober, the Italian, moving his way on up, and so does Alex Gillen, also on medium tyres. The softs are dying off. Formula Kai has no answer for those ahead, and they make contact coming through turn 8 and 9 and through towards turn 10, and Kai rejoins 1.7, now 2 seconds behind Alex Gillen.
Oh, not sure about that. Just looked like a bit of a misunderstanding meeting in the middle as Formula Kai was losing all of those places and now finds himself detached from that very quick group in front. Rasin Chai doesn't have the pace of Formula Cream. That is clear. 3 seconds now the margin, but there is an opportunity with 12 to go for them to DRS share their way back up towards that Papaya McLaren car, who is going to be taking chunks of points out of Tim Marduk's championship lead if it stays as is. The Mercedes will, of course, still retain the lead unless he gets shuffled down by Lolly and by Alex Gillen, but that was brilliant from both of them. Lolly over with the razor blades on his elbows, and Alex Gillen, just give him a sniff and he'll take a mile.
Very close quarter action there. Rasin Chai 3.2 now behind Karim. Karim looking to consolidate this race lead. It'll be the first, well, it'll be only the second time he's gone from lights to flag in front. He did it last time back in Australia. He's set to do it back to back. Should he achieve it? Obviously, that's what's important, but heading downhill now through towards turn 3 and turn 4. And now back out again. TMM Marduk on the tail of it. Alex Gillen now looking to tussle now with Lolin Ober. This is a battle over 4th place. They now sprint down through towards turn 6, and Gillen forced into very near contact with TMM Marduk, the two old rivals meeting again. We remember not too long ago where they had a few fisticuffs back at the Temple of Speed at Monza when battling side by side coming out of Seraglio down through towards the Ascari chicane. Both of them coming off worse for wear, and Alex Gillen incidentally binning it at that portion. We all saw his reaction, how inflammatory it was. And now they're going to meet again here at China and dice it out over a podium place. Gillen, as it stands, will not be on the podium. He's P4 as it currently ushers out, heading through out of turn 12, 13, and very soon down towards 14 off the end of the straight. There's Karim brushing past. There's Rasin Chai, and being met by TMM Marduk as they hustle down the long stretch. Now will Gillen look to challenge, take advantage of this current circumstance? So at the same time, they need to work together to close the gap. TMM Marduk allowed through by Rasin. Smart moves here from those in second down to 5th. They know they have to work together to be in with a chance of winning at all.
But look, as they came out of the hairpin, the gap staying effectively the same. 3.7 as they went in, now 3.8. And I think Razin Chai realises the situation. They're not going to get Kareem. He's just too fast. And for somebody like Tim Monaco or Alex Gillen, that's not going to be the easiest pill to swallow. And it looks like a battle between 4 drivers over 4 spots from 2nd down into 5th. Very good results for all of them, but Formula Kareem has got a huge chance to potentially move that gap between himself and Ben into single figures again in the championship.
Yeah, it will indeed be single figures, coming down to a very small number indeed, and it will mean that we will dance across to Japan and also to Bahrain, a double header to come at Bahrain as we had said, and then of course after that Jeddah, and then we end with a sprint weekend as well to certainly finish off the championship here in the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. It's been great to have your company with us. As always, we've got 10 laps or so to go here at this point. Karim still out in front by 4 seconds. And Timo Marduk looking to usher his way closer again. He is currently sat in 2nd place ahead of Rasin Chai, who is 4 tenths behind him. Alex Gillen, who has already dispossessed Lolinoba, who's down into 5th. Kai now starting to fall off dramatically on those soft tyres. Meraki might even get him sooner rather than later as they now sprint down towards turn 14. There you can see just in the rear, Rasin Chai opening up that rear wing, as will Alex Gillen. The question is, will they make the swap happen? Karim might have done this. We're not getting him, says Alex Gillen. So they're going to fight it out over the podium places, I think now. They've given up hope on the victory. It's now all about the podium. Rasin Chai in 2nd, and now Timo Marduk keeping Alex Gillen at bay, but Gillen sent the warning shot, heading down in towards turn 14. But I can envisage battles still with 9 laps to go.
And probably lasting all of those 9 laps, unless there's A, a bit of a whoopsie, or B, a little bit of an excursion as Lolinoba goes very wide through turn number 1. Interesting line the Haas taking there. He's obviously not lost any places or time really to that trio in front, but interesting racing line from the Haas driver, who was of course leading at one stage when the safety car came in, but has eventually been shuffled down into 5th position. Meraki could recover to 6th in this race because he's catching Formula Kai very, very quickly. Will continue to do so courtesy of those soft tyres degrading very, very quickly. Where's GB? He's managed to get up into 11th place, but not quite as quick on these medium tyres as it was on the Inters when he had the clear air.
Yep, no, coming out now turns 9 and through towards turns 10 as well. They've got another semi straight to take. Karim now a distant memory, 4 seconds ahead now, and he's increased it by another 1/10 of a second as well. Timo Marduk just within 3 tenths now of Rasin Chai in 2nd. They're going to continue to swap places. This battle is going to persist here for the remainder of this race. Lap 47 of 56, soon to become lap 48 of 56. They'll hustle down the long straight. Here comes Benjamin Daly. Fanning out comes Alex Gillen as well. He's got so much momentum being carried from the RB as they now sprint down, and there's a big accident as well. Formula Kai on his softs has gone off. Timo Marduk retaining now P2. Alex Gillen couldn't quite get him on the run down through towards turn 14, but he will be back, I am sure, as they round turn 16 again, and lap 48 will begin. Here comes Alex Gillen, fanning out to the outside. Turn 1 awaits as now the RB plummets ahead. The team from Faenza lights up P2 and are now 7 places up from where they began. Alex Gillen now holds on to 2nd place. He has done brilliantly to get to this point. It looked risky earlier on with his early use of the soft tyres, but he negated it through the use of the safety car and decent strategy choices. Medium tyres on his car, and he's ahead of Timo Marduk.
Well, he's made heavy weather of this, has the Season 2 champion, but now up into position number 2 ahead of his sparring partner, Timo Marduk. Lolinoba is the only driver inside this top 5 that is still negative on fuel, and we're coming towards the business end of the race, so the Haas may have to back off a little bit come lap 50 or 51. Has got an 8.5 second buffer between himself and Meraki behind, but just got to be careful, Lloyd, that he doesn't throw this position number 5 down the drain and or toilet.
No, doesn't want to do that, that's for sure. Otherwise, he might be rather flushed come the end of this race. 4.1 now between Gillen and Karim. That has stabilised somewhat. So whether it could come down, I'm not quite sure. But Gillen's going to have to put in a lot of work to achieve it. Timo Marduk on the just tucked in behind. 4 tenths now as they look to swap again. And with DRS open, Benjamin Daly's going to gladly oblige and take that P2 away as they head down through towards turn 14. In the meantime, just quickly, we'll head across to TK. TK, what have you got for us?
Well, I've got information on what happened to Formula Kai, and I pressed the wrong button there. Apologies, folks at home. It was unfortunate coming out of the elongated right-hander. Just clipped the curb a little bit too much, sent that car sideways. Fortunately, though, for him, keeping it out of the barrier.
Yep, certainly is. Thank you so much for that, TK. And we got some movements further up. Karim, despite holding on to that advantage at the front, obviously the gap has closed down a bit. 3.7 Gillen now up into second and Tim Marduk down in third. So the win might still be up for grabs here, Tom.
What kind of storyline could this be? We spoke about it with Meraki working with Infratic. Is this going to be Alex Gillen working with Tiamat Marduk? I think they've got too much to do in the remaining 8 laps of this Grand Prix, but the gap is coming down, like you said, 3.6 seconds. It was comfortably over 4 but a few moments ago. So this could be the race. I don't think is quite run yet. If Alex Gillen continues to steam off into the distance and try and drag everybody behind, Formula Cream will just start to think about it a little bit. If that gap, say it goes below 3 seconds in the next 5 or 6 laps, maybe not 5 or 6 laps, 3 or 4 laps, then he'll start to worry.
Well, in the next 7 laps or so, near enough 6 laps left here in this race, Gillen's going to have to try and usher in quali laps in order to try and close this gap. Obviously, quite a few tenths between he and Karim right now. It's 3.9 seconds. It is ushered back out to 4 seconds now. But Tim and Marduk, if they utilise the DRS to great effect, then they could essentially bring that delta inwards and maybe even challenge for this race lead. But it's going to be a huge ask for everyone involved here right now as they come in towards turn 14 and now fly through towards 15 and 16. It's 3.8. Let's see where it sits now as they round the final corner and then move up towards turn 1 again. There's Karim in the distance, just floating in towards the inside as they kick up some of the dust off the track. Back comes Tiamat Marduk around the outside, coming through towards turn 1, flies around the outside of Alex Gillen and back into second place. Gillen into third. Rasin Chai remains fourth. Lolin Ober remains on the tail of this group of 3 cars that are tussling over the podium places. Lolin Ober not out of this by any means. They're all on the same strategy. 3.8 seems to have stabilised, but they need to find more, Tom.
They really, really do. And I almost think this is where they've given up on this race. They need to catch it over half a second a lap. I find that increasingly unlikely they're going to be able to pull that pace out of absolutely nowhere. Lovely little scrap going on, though. We haven't spoken about them too much in the lower reaches of the top 10. Infratic holding 8th ahead of Tom, who has a penalty. Still got about 2 tenths of a second in his pocket. Well, Formula Cream, that is an ominous warning to everybody else behind. Not even going flat out. Well, I never. Nick Flies, GB in this little tussle as well, along with Scott Taylor, all of them vying for a potential spot inside the top 10. Obviously, the 3-second penalties of Tom and Scott Taylor are going to make that a little bit challenging. But if GB, and it is feasible, can get into 7th place here with Formula Kai struggling on those softs, that'll be, I think, a decent job of damage limitation.
Yeah, well, at the moment, it looks like Karim is doing better on fuel than most. At the moment, Gillen now swapping into second place. He's doing better than Gillen anyway on fuel. Tiamat Marduk currently sat in third, generally a good fuel saver as well. Now, with Rasin Chai on their tail, so they now whip round turn 16. 3.7 now the gap. It's come down ever so slightly again as they cross the line, but they need to find definitely a lot more in their locker. 3.6 as now they make their way up towards turn 1. They'll go uphill. And then round turn 2, 3.5 seconds now. Karim on the radio saying, if Gillen is F2, does that make me an F1 driver? Big call there from Karim. Obviously, we all heard the comments from Alex Gillen, believing that he could take on and be competitive against the F2 PSGL drivers in PC category, which would be an interesting watch along. Let us know in the chat if you'd like to see that.
Yeah, he got a little bit of stick for it, didn't he, Alex Gillen? But always likes to hold his ground on scenarios like that, but he has had a very decent race, albeit some strategical errors have potentially cost him a shot at trying to stay with Formula Cream. First one was putting on those soft tyres, lost a load of time and track position, and then was maybe a little bit too hesitant getting off the inters and was potentially too hesitant in getting past Formula Kai.
Yeah, absolutely right. A few missteps through the course of this race perhaps has led to this point, as we had a very stunning angle there of the cars making their way through towards turns 11 and turns 12 as they now fly through around turn 13. Now down the long straight again. It's now hopped back out to 3.8, 3.9 as now Gillen flies down the long straight. Tiamat Marduk waiting in the wings will more than likely fan out to try and take that P2 back, and does so coming in towards turn 14. Rasin Chai waiting as well. You can bet your bottom dollar that as soon as we start hitting lap 55, the intensity is going to start to turn up and they're going to dial it up to 11 and fighting out over that second place spot. And with third and second on the table, the opportunities are endless and they must be grandly sought after, as now we see Gillen go around the outside coming through turn 1 and sweeping back into second place.
Well, we know what the ideal strategy will be. You're going to want to be in third place, second in this train, coming onto the back straight, then make you move with the DRS on the last lap into turn 14. That's going to be the ideal scenario. That's not going to be afforded very, very easy to any one of the 4 in this group. The gap's still stabilising. We've got a yellow flag. 10-second penalty for corner cutting for Blackmere. Interestingly, that he's down there. Virtual safety car. Hart nearly stopped there. Formula Creed would have been absolutely cursing his luck if that was a full course caution. But with 5 laps to go, we are stable under VSC conditions.
We certainly are. And the deficit now, Alex Gillen to Karim, is 3.5 as it stands. They've got to be careful with the delta, be cautious with how they behave under this VSC, because it can greatly upset the race. I bet you they were all hoping and praying for a full safety car to come out so they can have basically a restart and potentially just a lap shootout to bring it to a quick end. Have we got any word from TK? We'll go across to him once again.
Nothing at the moment. I'm trying to keep an eye on what has actually gone on there to cause the virtual safety car. Nothing from our point of view. Just some interesting talk amongst the drivers as to mirroring what you've said. A lot of them kind of hoping and praying for that full safety car to come out. But alas, it's just neutralised the field, allowed our drivers to have a bit of a breather. And again, it's going to be a bit of a sprint until the end.
Yeah, unfortunately, no safety car for anybody. Thank you, TK, for that. We're back with the race action. Lap 52 of 56. And no movements elsewhere. Nick flies on the back of Tom as well, right towards the rear as they look to fight over the top 10 places. Drive-through penalty for Cutter Lucas for speeding under the VSC as we go green again here in this Chinese Grand Prix. Here in the Creator Series, they fly up through towards turn 1 again. It's still Gillen in second. Tim and Monac rear-ended. Oh my goodness, contact with Rasin Chai. And Chai has lost out majorly here. Lolinoba creeping back into 4th. A heart-in-mouth moment that has given Gillen a second respite. And Gillen is only 3.4 off Karim now.
He'll love the sight of that in his rearview mirror. It's the downfall of the trio behind. If he can just try and hold on to that margin that he's got over Benjamin Daly, I think he'll be delighted to see the downfall of a couple of drivers that were battling very, very hard with him for second place and make his life exceedingly easier going into the final 3 of this turn. The gap is still at 1.2 seconds, so that could be Gillen gone, and the battle now exclusively between this trio for the 3rd spot on the podium.
Yeah, definitely a major moment. Rasin Chai might have ruined the day. He made that mistake because now he's at the tail of this group of cars, and he has a little look at the inside now of Lolinoba on the move, run up through towards turns 11 and turns 12. And he counts himself a little bit lucky here that he didn't lose much more than what he did, because of course it could have meant that he skyrocketed off well beyond the apex at turn 1 and flown into the barrier that's in the distance just beyond the gravel trap as we now watch them head down the straight. And no DRS available for Benjamin Daly. He was outside of a second prior to crossing the sector line, or should I say the DRS line, and has therefore lost out on crucial straight line speed that could have brought him back to within touching distance of Alex Gillen. But he will have DRS surely, but has run wide coming through the final corner, has extended, has still got DRS. He was very, very fortunate, very nearly lost out coming through towards turn 16. Now fortunately remains on the tail of Alex Gillen, has brought himself back to within 3 or so tenths. But a major moment towards the end, a few frailties starting to slip in through some of the drivers.
Well, there is a chance that that could have been a tactical decision. Just try and absolutely launch it through the final corner and ensure that he kept his DRS. Look at this scrap into the final corner. Formula Kai, I fear for his future on those degrading soft tyres. Been passed by Tom, who has got a 3-second penalty. GB still scrapping away in that duel also, but he does have some front wing damage we are hearing. Infratic leaking positions as well. Tries it around the outside, having to jink to the left. Nick Fly sees an opportunity to steal a march on the Ferrari, who does lose a couple of places. Scott Taylor putting his nose in there also. GB holding 9th at the moment. You can see missing his left-hand end plate, but you would imagine he's probably still going to be quicker than Formula Kai, whose soft tyres are, well, if they're not dead, they're going to be the next level up from it.
Yeah, the balance on that front end is going to be a right mess here, especially the circuit here like China, but up the inside he goes on Formula Kai. And GB68, who's had everything thrown at him, damage from wings. He had a drive-through penalty as well. Matty D13 takes the fastest lap of the race. Kai furiously trying to defend against GB, and unfortunately goes off wide. A major moment, so much rubbing between the two. Infratic on the team radio, what are we doing? Like seriously, WTF? He is not happy, is the Ferrari driver. He's in 10th place and at the moment in the fight of his life.
Well, that is your classic case of bumping and grinding as we come on to the penultimate lap of the race. Formula Cream comfortable out in front, anything but for the quartet behind us. Rasenchai desperate to get ahead of Lolinoba. He still thinks second place is a possibility, but can't force his way past the Haas in front. Lolly slightly wide. Is that the opportunity? Just sniffed a potential chance to force the Alpine alongside. Inside becomes the inside. Contact between the pair of them, banging tyres. And at the moment, Lolinoba holds on to it. Meraki jumping into the pits, interestingly, as well.
Yeah, penultimate lap of the race, and it's all started to unfold. Rasenchai around the outside of Lolinoba knows he has to get this move done if he wants to try and taste podium gold here this time around, to at least give himself a chance to fight against Tiamat Marduk, and also Alex Gillen in that second place spot. And into the pits comes Meraki. He's also opted in for the box as well, maybe chasing that fastest lap towards the end of the race as we now watch them fly around the remaining corners on this lap. They're in sector 2, it'll be sector 3 as soon as they make their way in towards turn 11 and turns 12 at the end of this semi-straight. It's Gillen in second, Tiamat Marduk in third as well. Lolinoba licking his lips at a prospect of potentially overtaking the Aussie, heading down through towards turn 14. Or will Benjamin Daly get Gillen on the run down in towards the hairpin apex as they now come across the DRS line, open up their rear wings very shortly. Benjamin Daly all over the rear of the RB, now sprinting down through towards the hairpin bend now at turn 14, but chooses against it, has chosen against it, and will now make his way through the final few corners behind Gillen. Karim in the distance by 3.5 as they now begin the final lap of the race, Tom.
Well, we knew that would be the tactic and very obviously on display, but got to be careful he doesn't get gobbled up by the duo behind. I'm questioning the decision-making of Meraki, to be honest. Must have been a miscalculation because he probably thought he would come out still in 6th place. In fact, came out behind that massive group of dueling cars in 12th. Got past a couple of them, but has a lot of work to do to try and get back up into the 6th position. That he was going to get. Big slide for Lolinoba. Eases the pressure on Tiamat Marduk, and now Rasenchai is this his final opportunity. Finally gets the chance to get ahead of the Haas, and he does into the braking zone, but brave on the brakes is the Haas. Contact for the second time in as many laps. Is he going to get run out of road on the exit? Shown the door! Rasenchai is shoulder barred to the barrier. Less than 4 wheels on his car. And that is the worst end he could have envisaged.
That is the end of play for Rasenchai. The Alpine is out of the race and therefore out of the podium fight as well. We return to the second place scrap here between Tiamat Marduk and Alex Gillen. These two that have had such a strong rivalry now for so long. We have seen it on display here so far this season. They are distant memories to Formula Karim, who is 5 seconds up the road, but we are now watching them dice it out here at Shanghai in China over point supremacy in what has to be said, a very fragile period in this championship. Rear wings opened up now for the 3 cars battling over the podium places. Tiamat Marduk looking to find an avenue. Defending aggressively is Alex Gillen. They come in towards turn 14. The exit now on display as now Tiamat Marduk looks to muscle his way through to second. Formula Karim wins the Chinese Grand Prix, and Benjamin Daly off the road with Alex Gillen takes second. Lolinoba in third as well. Gillen off the podium in dramatic circumstances, and Meraki somehow, after the pit stop, finds himself in P5.
Done extremely well, Jake, to be fair, to get himself back up into 5th position, overtaking, what is that, 6 or 7 cars in the space of just a couple of laps. GB at the moment is going to come home in 8th position. Okay damage limitation, but not what he would have been after at all. But for Alex Gillen and Tiamat Marduk, they both fell off the circuit through the final corner. I think there'll be some argy-bargy after that one. What is he going to say? When push comes to shove, Ben will always turn in on you. Words already exchanged.
The war of words has begun once more between Gillen and Benjamin Daly. The drama is kicked up a notch, has it not, folks? But Formula Karim has the upper hand, and matching, much like he did at Australia, it's pole to victory for Karim, as now we watch the remainder come across the line. Blackmere, after sustaining the penalties he'll fall down the order as Matty D13 hops into 13th. Blackmere just ahead of Ricky 03 for now. Ricky 03 with a time penalty of his own of 3 seconds as he heads up towards the line. He's got Cutter Lucas for company, and Cutter Lucas will move ahead of him too. But as the drama comes to an end, it's your victor, Formula Karim, who took it from lights to flag for only the 2nd time this season, but it is his in total 4th win of the season campaign. A massive, massive well done to him, and what could be a very important race for the championship here, Tom.
100%. And after a dodgy couple of rounds, it has to be said for Kareem, Belgium in particular, the fan vote Grand Prix, had a difficult second race at Miami as well. He's picked himself off the canvas very nicely with back-to-back race wins to give Team McMulloch something very serious to think about.
4 wins, 5 podiums, 15 top 10s, and 5 pole positions come the end of the Shanghai round. It's Formula Karim, your race winner. He takes 25 points out of Tim Marduk in second. The championship contenders manacled together and will stay that way at the top of the championship. Lotlin Ober in third as well, getting past Alex Gillen at the very final time of asking. Meraki in fifth, Infratic sixth, Nick Fly seventh, GB eighth. We then have Formula Kai in ninth, Tom in 10th, Scott Taylor 11th, further down Blue Fox on his debut appearance in 12th, Matty D13 in 13th, Blackmere 14th, Cutter Lucas 15th, Ricky 03 in 16th place. Rasin Chai was a retirement, so was F1 Alex, Mr. Dale, and Zapso as well.
What a race. What
a
good
race
fun
indeed.
it was as well.
Drama,
Really enjoyed
Tom.
that.
Drama. We love drama. That's what the Creator Series is all about. And do you know what? There's one man who can diagnose a moment better than anyone. It's TK. TK Clips, over to you.
Well, it's been a bad day at the office if your name is a certain Mr. Razinchai. 2 instants for him to go through, and then, of course, we'll have a quick review of what happened in those final moments of Alex Gillen's race. First of all, throwing it back to when Razin just had that little bit of contact with Ben heading through the first corner, and I wonder, it looked like Gillen got unstable. Then Ben slammed on the brakes to avoid an instant, and unfortunately, Razin became a bit of a victim there in that case. You can see Gillen just getting a little bit unstable as he heads through the corner, right about there. Ben slams on his brakes, and unfortunately, nothing Razin could do in time to react to that one. This time around, though, him side by side with Lolly Nobers. He made his way through the first sector in towards the second. Heavy braking zone in towards the right-hander. Lolly Nobers still trying to demand some space there, and I think there's 2 cars just coming together ever so slightly, loose on the rear end, and unfortunately, that is Razin Chai in towards a wall and out of the race. And then finally, last but not least, let's talk about Alex Gillen, as he seems to be his own favourite subject sometimes, in towards turn 14 here. It's going to be a nice move from Timo Monica to swerve to the outside and quick return to the racing line for Alex Gillen. Not sure whether the FIA would have too much to say about that, but more wheel banging as they head in towards the final corner. Not necessarily the best way to look about it. Ben just turns across him. Gillen then forced towards the runoff zone to recover the car, and you can see the hand gestures already becoming a factor.
Yet another fiery chapter in the story of Alex Gillen and Tim Marduk. Thank you so much, TK. Really appreciate that. What a moment. What an ending to that race, Tom. I mean, that is surely going to rumble onwards to the next round. We've got Japan coming up next as well, Suzuka, one of the most ruthless circuits on the calendar in many ways. So much variation. And can you imagine if those two come together again? It's going to be dynamite.
Well, do you remember back on F1 23 when they came together down into turn number 1? Tim Marduk famously called the worst driver in the F1 Creator Series.
Yes,
after that,
one, yes, I do remember
drove
that.
a little bit of a wedge between Ben and Alex, it has to be said. Both of them blaming each other. I don't think banging heads would have got us very, very far indeed. But yeah, I don't think Alex is going to be particularly pleased about that. But what can you do at the end of the day?
Nor Rasin Chai either, I don't think, after coming toe-to-toe with Lolin Ober. I mean, what do you make of that one, Tom?
It's tricky because there was obviously contact beforehand. Razin does have a slide. He does have a little bit of oversteer, and that almost puts him into the path of the Haas on the right-hand side. I don't know whether the slide was caused by the contact, just unsettled the car a little bit, but not great, not ideal for him at all. And that is, if it wasn't before, that is definitely Razin's championship over.
I would say so, and I would say GB has got a lot of work to do as well. Did finish in the points. Great recovery from GB, despite the wing damage and obviously the drive-through penalty. Finished in the points. A positive finish, would you say?
I think he'll be very disappointed with himself. He can only have himself to blame, realistically, with the penalty he picked up. Meraki did a good job as well, coming through to finish 5th, benefiting from that problem that Razin had. Infratic as well, 2 drivers that I think are in contention for driver of the day. Infratic and Nick Flies, both of them win the wars quite a lot throughout, but coming home in 6th and 7th. Very, very solid result for the pair of them.
I think I'm inclined to agree with that, Tom. We'll obviously have a look at that as well in the not-too-distant future. We'll have, of course, interviews coming up very shortly. First, we'll focus on Karim, really, our race winner. And what a confident ending to that Chinese Grand Prix for one and only Formula Karim. But hey, Karim, I must say, you played it well. And for only the second race this season, have you gone from lights to flag with a victory? We were sort of discussing this off-air. With the amount of poles you've had this season, you probably arguably should have more wins.
Yeah, I mean, another amazing race. I can't really say much else, to be honest. Yeah, it was interesting managing the fuel. There's 2 safety cars obviously definitely helped with that. Yeah, when I saw the rain, I was like, yeah, now it's getting spicy. Now we can, maybe pull a gap, because I'm not sure why, but I'm just quicker in the rain. That's just seems to be a thing that happens. But yeah, I tried to get the gap. It was harder than I thought. But then in the in between conditions, when it was drying but still inter, I pulled away even more somehow. And from then on, it was just drive away, manage the battery, and yeah.
Now, you mentioned towards the end of that race as well that you had 2/10 or so in your pocket. Were you holding back for those final few laps of that last stint?
Well, I tried to go for fastest lap on the final lap. That obviously didn't work with the worn tires. But other than the final lap, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I was holding back too much. I was obviously always watching the gap to Alex or Ben, whoever it was behind me. But yeah, going into none in a few corners, lifting, not stressing the tires too much, but still getting good exits and driving fast. Yeah, it was, I'd say, around 2/10 in the pocket.
Tom, have you got a question as well? Throw one to you.
I just want to know the approach going in, because I think it's well documented that it's a track you really like on this game and a track you're very quick at as well. Coming off the back of Australia, where it was a really good performance to get a win as well, how much confidence did you have going in that you could continue to close that gap that Ben had started to build out after Silverstone?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows by now, China's my favourite track on the game. I know a lot of people are shocked when I say that, but yeah, I was very confident coming into China. I think I sort of had an idea that Ben maybe had a little bit less pace. I mean, he got P2 in the end, which he's probably happy with. But yeah, regardless of anyone else's pace, I was confident in my own ability on this track. I just have the confidence and the comfortability to push. I love it.
And the points gap now, Karim, has been brought down to 10 points now, as it stands, obviously looking ahead to Japan. What are your thoughts heading to Suzuka? Obviously, we've not really got long left in the season. We're coming into the final 4 rounds of the championship. Obviously, have got a double header at Bahrain and also a sprint race for the final round to consider as well. But what are your thoughts now as we start getting closer and closer to the grand finale?
Yeah, not many races left. I think Bahrain will be very crucial with obviously full points for both races and the reverse grid and whatever other wildcard we might have. So that will be very important. I think this next sprint race as well, which will be for the last race, also very important. I'm sure you saw today's sprint race was chaos from the start to the finish. So yeah, it's just trying to keep the consistency up. At the start of the season, that's where I struggled. And now on this part of the season, I feel like I'm starting to build some consistency. So if I can keep that up, then yeah, it's going to be a spicy finale then.
We'll look forward to seeing it. Karim, we wish you all the very best. Congratulations on yet another race win. That is your 4th, I believe, this season. So massive well done to you, and your 5th podium this campaign and 5 pole positions as well. We'll see you back at Japan.
Yep. Thank you guys for the interview. I'll see you later.
See you later, Karim. Thank you so much. Brilliant stuff. And we're going to move now over to Ben Daly very shortly as well. And have a little chin bag with him. Here he is now, the Aussie Wonder. Welcome, Ben. After a dramatic finish to that race. Has Gillen forgiven you yet?
Does he ever forgive? We've got a Bible list of things that we've not forgiven each other for, so we can just add that one to the list.
Definitely. It's good to see the fiery chapters continue to be entered into the book between you two. I mean, we saw that obviously what happened back at Monza obviously still lives in the membrane of Alex Gillen and yourself as well. We've got a trip to Japan coming up very soon, which I know you two have history at as well. At Timo, that myself and Tom Wilkinson were discussing. So, listen, it's on the cards, is it not? Surely.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Me and Alex are very closely matched on pace. We both don't like to back out of moves. And it makes for some fiery racing. With that said, I hope it doesn't overshadow Karim's win. Fully deserved the win today. He was head and shoulders the best driver the whole weekend and deserved the win. So huge GGs to him.
And it's turned this title fight into a blockbuster now, hasn't it, Ben? Because we were just saying to Karim, it's 10 points now between you two heading into Japan. Very spicy. And we've only got a select number of rounds left. We've got Japan, obviously. We've got double header at Bahrain, Jeddah, and then a mystery weekend. Obviously, the final weekend with a sprint race as well for that one. So what are your thoughts now? Because things are starting to get a little bit tight.
I'm happy, to be honest. I went into this knowing that I was probably going to lose points to Karim this weekend. I know that this is Karim's best track. So 1 place behind him, only lost, 4 points? I think it's game on. I'm really excited for these last few races, and I can't wait to see who comes out on top.
I'm going to throw the next question to Tom. Tom, what have you got for Mr. Daly?
Oh, I just want to ask about the wildcard, because even though it didn't necessarily have that much of an impact at the end of the race, we've seen you before, intentionally or unintentionally, go for minimum fuel races. Remember back, very first season of Creator Series at places like Austria, I think Silverstone as well, going for minimum fuel. How much confidence did you have going in that you would maybe get a little bit of an advantage, a heads up over everybody else, just because of that experience?
Yeah, I was pretty confident, especially if it was going to be green flag the whole way. But I kind of low-key knew that there would be a safety car, so I kind of thought maybe the fuel saving wouldn't matter. But I was happy that we did it. It was really nice to see how everyone else adapted to it. I want to say I was probably the best positioned for efficiency up until the safety car. I had really good tires. I had really good fuel. I was like half a lap good on Alex. I don't know about Karim, but I feel like I had more fuel than him. So in the end, I think Karim still would have won. But yeah, I mean, it was a great wild card, and I really enjoyed it. So the experience helped a lot.
We heard you sustained a little bit of wing damage as well, so that didn't impact your race at all?
Oh, that was in the sprint.
In the sprint, apologies.
I can't remember who I ran into, but I booped someone and had very light front wing damage, but not enough to negate any performance. So I got away with that one.
Brilliant stuff. Well, it means now we move ahead to Japan next time around. 10 points between yourselves and, of course, Formula Karim as well. A very spicy championship finale could be on the way with other protagonists maybe entering the fold as well. Ben, congratulations. Another podium, P2, and we'll see you at Suzuka.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Nice one.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. We got a break.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Benjamin Daly, everybody. And, of course, we'll be seeing him back at Suzuka as well. What a finale that was. We just briefly welcomed in Tom Knight just out of nowhere there as well. We caught him just picking his nose there, but no, he wasn't really. Yeah, great stuff.
Throwing him under the bus there, crikey.
Yeah, we're going to bring Lolin over in now for an interview. Our favourite Italian returns to the commentary box again after a very fiery ending to the race. Lolly, welcome to the commentary box. Hope you're keeping well. Always great to hear from our favourite Italian. What a race. I mean, that was a blockbuster, was it not? With the strategy changes, the weather, everything else. You watched a lot of the fighting unfold in front of you, and then right at the very last chance of asking, you pounced. You must be absolutely thrilled with the result.
Yeah, I really don't have luck today. 0. My fuel was like to abandon me on the last lap, but all was going great at the end. Thank you for the virtual. I don't know who just spun in the race, but yeah, I just tried to catch Karim at the end, but Alex and Tia was really fast at the end.
Well, I mean, it was a wonderful result for you. That's your third podium actually this season, which is terrific. Yeah. You've got to be pleased with that, surely. I mean, this is a good record you're starting to build here, and we've seen moments where you and Karim this season have fought together. Obviously, we remember Miami where you two crashed across the line together, and obviously that was a major moment that gave you a grand victory. You're a sprint race winner as well. We got some exciting rounds coming up, and you seem to be growing in this championship. So, you know, for future seasons, maybe even next season, do you think we could see perhaps even challenging for the title?
Yeah, I hope. I really don't get luck today because I think today I can win, but never mind. At the end, in the last corner, I say the Monza 2.0 with Alex and Tia. So I really need to say thanks to Alex for the podium.
Brilliant stuff. I'm going to throw the next question to Tom. What have you got for Lolly, Tom?
I've actually got the most important question we're going to ask in this entire interview session, because there's a rumour going around, Lolly, that you might be a big fan of pineapple on pizza. I just, you know, do you want to just
Me?
explain that opinion for us?
No. I don't want to say nothing about the pineapple on the pizza. Nothing.
No?
No,
Is that
no,
because
no.
you're embarrassed as a
No, yeah.
professional Italian?
Pineapple on pizza is not Italian. No. No. Pineapple is not Italian.
Brendan Lee would disagree.
No. I can say nothing now. Fia just
Do you feel offended,
find
Lolly?
me. Thank you.
Do you feel offended?
Yeah. Thank you so much, George.
It wasn't me. It was Tom.
You're talking about this. So
No, there's no evidence of it. No evidence.
No evidence. It wasn't me, everybody. You know, you all heard it. It was Tom Wilkinson, everyone. Hey, Lolly, what are your thoughts, Suzuka?
I need already to wake up really early, so I want to sleep. I don't like the snake on Suzuka.
You don't like Suzuka?
No, not so much.
No. I think you could
Zero.
be faster than Suzuka.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. No,
Oh.
I'm
You're
slower.
in confidence.
No. This is like Anakin thing. You're saying something about Anakin Skywalker, but okay. You lack of confidence.
If you promise me you come to Suzuka, I'll raid you again on Twitch.
Okay, I'm going faster, Suzuka.
Great stuff.
Okay.
There we go. Lolling over. Congratulations on another
Thank you so
podium.
much.
And we'll see you at Suzuka.
Yeah. See you.
Great stuff. Thank you. Lolling over, everyone. What a character, an immense character. We love having him here in the Creator Series. What a man. Slightly offended by Tom's using of the pineapple pizza.
It's just a rumor. It's hearsay. Just
Listen,
trying to clear the air.
I felt he took that far too personally, Tom. I have to be honest. Right, let's bring in TK. TK, how's the nose?
All good. Rare
Listen,
moment.
I did him so dirty. Honestly, I'm so sorry, TK. He was only looking at his phone, folks. I promise you he was not doing that. Yeah, that's not our man, TK, at all. We've just heard from our three drivers that featured on the podium, Tom. I mean, what a finish, first and foremost. I mean, Karim, rubber stamping that he is obviously this title competitor that he has certainly shown that he can be so far through the course of the season. Immense pace, it has to be said. He said that China was his best track in the interview, and he definitely did show that. Yet again, more fireworks as well between Gillen and Ben. Can you summarise any of this at all?
I don't think there's possibly enough words in the English language to summarise what we saw on the track this afternoon. I mean, Karim, as you said, dominant display, everything kind of worked out in his favour. Of course, we had safety cars, rain, dry conditions once again. It all just fell quite beautifully into a Karim wonderland. And on the flip side, Gillen and Team Marduk, it was a little bit spicy, wasn't it? They didn't have enough milk to try and cool them down, and who knows, we might see even more fireworks as we head into Suzuka next week.
We could do, Tom. And I have to say, going over to Mr. Wilkinson to talk about said Japan. I mean, obviously, with the drama that we discussed, obviously, between Benjamin Daly and Gillen, I mean, that could be, if the same was to happen again, I mean, and Karim scores, the championship swings once more.
It almost feels like the stars are aligning, doesn't it? You know, you can just sense something's building, something's happening. It's always box office, Alex Gillen and Tim Malik, even if it's not necessarily the cleanest racing that we always see. But Karim, I think, smells blood going into this final four. I think it's final four races of the campaign. He senses an opportunity to become a rookie champion, Formula 2 champion last season, qualifying up to Formula 1. I think he's just starting to back himself. Like you said, he's really improved his consistency, back-to-back wins. I think it's 3 wins in the last 5 races now as well. Yep. Looking very, very consistent and very, very solid.
Looking very strong indeed, I have to say. We've got to talk about driver of the day as well, I think, as well. That's a very urgent topic to discuss. I'm going to start with you, TK. What's your thoughts?
Oh, it's a tough question. I mean, there's a couple of drivers, you know, I don't like giving it to the race winner, Karim, albeit did pull out a fantastic performance. But, you know, Gillen, Tim Marduk, them on the final lap, always fireworks, good driving between the both of them. I'll be honest, I think it's split between a couple of drivers, but my vote would go Karim on this one. Again, dominant display from him.
Karim there for TK. What about you, Mr. Wilkinson?
I'm gonna stick with Papaya, but I'm gonna go for his teammate. I think Nick Fly's 7th place. I think he was outstanding. Really good pace in the sprint as well. We didn't necessarily expect him to make up places in that sprint, but I think he went from maybe 8th or 9th on the grid up into 3rd come the end of the first lap. He was fighting right at the front for a long time. Fell away a little bit towards the end, but I think he showed and a maturity that we maybe haven't seen so far.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I was going to go for GB after his recovery to move from the... So obviously he had the drive-through penalty and then he had to fight his way back through the field. Obviously had a few tricky moments. I also thought Meraki did an interesting job as well, moving from the bottom. I think, though, I'm going to go with what you said, Wilkinson. I'm going to go with... I think I'm going to go with Nick Flies as well. I'm sorry, TK, we're going to batter yours away. I think Nick Flies, yeah, I think he's shown that he is a regular improver, I think, and he started to grow appearance by appearance. So I think we're going to see more from him in the future, no doubt. But now we look ahead, obviously, to the rest of the calendar. I'm not sure whether we can have a look at the calendar, I think, before we go. We might not be able to. We'll take a look. Let's have a little look. Yes, here we go. The season calendar for Season 9. We haven't actually had a look at this yet, this broadcast, so it's a good time to check it out. We've just done China on March 22nd. We got a little break until we head to Japan, and where we have, at the moment, full qualifying on offer ahead of round 10. So that's going to be an interesting fight. And then we head to Bahrain for round 11 on April 12th for a double header. Then on round 12, we have on April 19th, Jeddah. Around the Corniche circuit, and the Mystery GP, where we will hopefully see the title decided with a sprint race and a full race on April 26th to come as well. Obviously, the base format consisting of the short qualifying and 100% race that we have seen as well. Let's go through the drivers' standings just before we call it a day as well. Team at Marduk, still championship leader, 205 points to his name, but like we said before, the points gap has shrunk to 10, with Karim now after his win here today making it back-to-back victories after securing pole positions and has closed that gap ruthlessly down on the Aussie. We got Alex Gillen in third on 166, 2 points ahead of Meraki in fourth. He managed to sleuth his way towards the back stages of that race that we just had and managed to hold on to that fourth spot ahead of GB68. 2 points between those two, very tight between the Aston Martin. GB unfortunately losing a couple of places through the course of this championship off the back of that last race as well. Lolinoba in 6th on 135, Racing Chai in 7th place after that retirement. No points, nil points for Racing Chai. Noguera in 8th, that guy Vince in 9th, Ricky 03 in 10th, Formula Kai, he of course had his own problems, 62 points to his name, and Fratic in 12th on 55 ahead of Zafso in 13th on 47. He of course got disqualified earlier on in the race. Nick Flies in 14th on 44, Tom in 15th on 34, and then Adam Sanderson, who no-showed today, on 33, a point behind Tom. Matati on 31, Hayden Gullis on 28, Scott Taylor in 19th place on 25, and Grid Jokes on 15 points in 20th place. We'll take a look at the Teams Championship and how that looks after that last race. Mercedes at the top of the tree by 13 points ahead of McLaren, with Aston Martin in third. The points gap, incidentally, between McLaren and Mercedes shrinking just a little bit. The race is hotting up for the constructors' standings. Aston Martin in third on 234, with Visa Cash App RB in 213 territory in fourth place. Alpine fifth in 175, and then Red Bull 3 points behind them in sixth. Haas in 7th on 160, Ferrari on 142 in 8th, and Williams on 97 in 9th. Sauber still rooted to the bottom in 10th place on 71 points. So that pretty much brings an end to the festivities here at China. First and foremost, folks, if you've enjoyed the broadcast, it's been a pleasure having you. First and foremost, though, we'll say, where can they find you guys? I mean, TK, where can the good people find you, sir?
Every single social media at They Call Me TK, sometimes with a little underscore just in front of it as well. And pretty much if there's a social media that exists, most likely I'll be on it.
Great stuff. Tom Wilkinson, what about you, sir?
TW06 on the old X, formerly known as Twitter, of course, and on TikTok if you're a darts fan, Wilco.darts over there.
We do love a bit of darts, don't we, folks? I'm incidentally through to a singles final in my local league finals night. Thank you very much, Tom. Yes, and if you want to find me, you can at George Morgan TV on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and also, well, everywhere. It's always the same, at George Morgan TV. And if you've enjoyed the broadcast, folks, be sure, if you've been tuned in on Twitch, we've had some fun today, I must say, with some of the restream behind the scenes. Poor old Gareth is doing his head in. He's lost all his hair in the process of this broadcast as well. You can find us on Twitch at F1 Creator Series. Please leave a follow on the Creator Series channel, and also on YouTube as well, where we drop reels and also go live usually on there. Hit the subscribe button and leave a like on this broadcast as well. I believe there is some of it still left. We will be uploading the video, the full broadcast, of it as well later on. So don't miss it if you want to watch it back in full HD quality. And also on TikTok, to all of you tuned into the live briefly today, we will of course see you back there, I'm sure, in the near future. Be sure to tune in to all the reels as well. Leave a follow to that channel and check out Creator Series on social media at F1 Creator Series on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, we are there. And join the Discord server, be part of the fan zone, stay up to date with everything Creator Series, and also chat to some of our creators as well behind the scenes. But for all of us here, the Chinese Grand Prix went Karim's way. The question is, will the title swing as we head to Japan in a fortnight's time? Until then, we'll find out. Goodbye. Bye.